Hello everybody, welcome to Dungeons and Drams. So today we are going to be doing something a little unexpected. I've had this particular idea in my calendar for months at this point. Making videos takes a long time, especially when I'm running a second channel. This one is more of a channel of passion, whereas the other one I've been doing for like 10 years. It's more of a habit. But in the case of Dungeons and Drams, I really wanted to do something like a jungle temple. The idea being that I'd like to spend some time live and just kind of work through an idea. And I'd love you guys to kind of be along with this whole idea and, you know, throw out your own concepts and basically just help. I think it'd be really fun to create something together. Now, I wanted to go with something a little cliche, just to kind of work this in. You know, we're doing a live stream where things can happen, but I thought it'd be fun to do a jungle temple and just kind of like a dungeon in a jungle. Now, we can have anything from wildlife being some of our creatures. We're definitely going to have some sort of monsters going on, definitely some puzzles. And we're going to create this not only from our own brain, but we're going to utilize various AIs, just large language models, whatever, to help us to ideate. The idea being that if you were doing this yourself, chances are you have an idea and you want to expound upon that idea. I don't have much of an idea at the moment because I think it'd be kind of fun to not only take from you guys, but also really dive heavy into the use of AI to help create something cool. Now, here's the general plan. It's 8 o'clock Eastern right now. I don't have anything else going on tonight, so I'm hoping to just kind of stream until it doesn't make sense to anymore. Not going to do like a 10-hour live stream, anything like that. We're talking more like 2, maybe 3 hours, depending on how the things go. But I'd love to start from square one. I want a jungle temple. I don't know why it's there. I don't know what's special about it. I don't know what's in it, and I don't know what kind of traps are in there. I don't even know why the players are going in. But we're going to figure all this out together. We're going to kind of ideate a little bit in ChatGPT. We're going to take some notes. I have Incarnate open so we can make a map. I also have, if we get all the way here, we're going to generate some creatures as well. We're going to use Midjourney to make some artwork of them. I'm going to show you how I take that artwork and create tokens and just general profile pictures and then put those even into Foundry. So we're going to kind of go through the whole thing tonight. At least that's the hope. When I used to plan for games, you know, it would be my own ideas, but I would take them into Incarnate, and a lot of times I would have to do this in a couple of hours because it would be like Monday morning and I'd be like, oh crap, I don't have anything for tonight. So let me take a minute and just kind of say hi to some of the people who showed up in the chat here. We've got Dennis. He was first, of course. Thank you, Dennis. I appreciate that you joined. NT Spang, Alex, and Mike are here. There's a few others watching who are being lurkers, and I'm totally cool with that. Oh, and we've got somebody else here as well. But cool. Nice to see you. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to hop over to ChatGPT, and we're going to use one of the prompts that I originally... Hey, Mike's there too. Nice. Mike, nice to see you. We're going to hop over to ChatGPT. We're going to start off with using one of our... Man, I have way too many windows open. You wouldn't believe what it takes to do this kind of thing. We're going to take the initial prompt that I used in creating dynamic dungeons, and we are going to... There we go. We're going to paste that here, and then we're going to change it. So I know that it's going to be a little bit small. I'm going to try to enlarge things where I can, and we're going to take this step by step. So if you're watching this in the future as well, I'm going to add some timestamps to the various different parts of this stream. So, you know, feel free to watch whatever part interests you. Okay, so always start with our first sentence, right? We got, I am a dungeon master playing Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. I need to design a dungeon. In this case, I have decided that a dungeon needs to have a few things and that we are going to give it those, we're going to give it some ideas. So I consider a dungeon to have the following information, which I will provide you. I know I've kind of mentioned this in some of my videos. I don't want to assume too much that you guys have seen any of those videos or whatever. So we're gonna really just kind of take things step by step here. I hate when ChatGPT takes whatever I give it and just takes it and runs with it, because that's not what I want. Not in here. If I were to say, I want to make a dungeon and here's some things that I want, and then hit enter, it's going to spit out a bunch of information. That's not what I want. I don't love the idea of just having AI do everything for me. I think that kind of defeats the purpose. I like using it as a tool rather than a replacement for, my own thoughts. Please. Well, so the main channel is the Whiskey Dictionary. If anybody would like to, you can share it in the chat. But it should be easy enough to find. Just think Whiskey Dick if you forget. Speaking of which, I'm drinking a beer at the moment. I'm definitely going to be pouring some whiskey during the course of the stream. So if you happen to see anything behind me that you'd like me to drink, I'm happy to, drink whatever you'd like. Let's see. Alex says, are we going to, for currently housing people, an ancient ruin or something in process of being built? Well, I think that kind of is up to you guys. I mean, I have my own ideas. In my mind, I had this as being kind of like an abandoned temple. This is something that you stumble upon in a jungle. It's just kind of there. My idea is that at the entrance, there'll probably be some sort of dead bodies that have been, it'll hint our players that there's traps. Maybe that some of the traps have been sprung. During the first, say, quarter of the dungeon, it's going to be mostly traps and maybe some wildlife that are just kind of hanging around. If you've seen the live stream, I actually did the Temple of Alcarn is what I ended up calling it. And I took this methodology, being that in the beginning of the temple, there were traps that would be re-triggerable rather than like, let's say, not like a spike trap where it shoots out from the wall, but in this case, it was more like a pressure plate. You step on it and some fire comes out. That's something that could be potentially triggered more than once. But also there were some alligators that had entered kind of like a flooded area. Actually, you know what? I'm talking about this thing. Let me even kind of give you this idea because I have these. Let's go to, actually, you wouldn't believe the organization that I have. It's fantastic. All right, so we were in Akari, we were in the Bush of Jilariel, we were in the Temple of Alcarn, and let's go to, let me just drop this right here. Okay, so I've obviously got to make this a little bit smaller so you can see. Hopefully you guys can see this okay. If anything ever happens with the stream, by all means, please let me know, because I might not see it. I'm mostly just using OBS to be able to walk you guys through this. So, excuse me, the players started out at the southern tip here. They had to cross a log, not a big deal. It was mostly just there to be funny, but actually this haze that was down here contained a, not a neurotoxin, but it was a disease that would actually rot away their sight over time. Nobody ended up dropping in there, and that was like a whole big thing. So there was some blood out front, which just kind of let them know that maybe something was fresh here. There was an entrance, which is what the skull here is. Over time, I'm not going to go too much into this, but each one of these rooms had different traps or information in them. This two bloody spots here in the middle, there was a fire trap there. But I hinted at it with the scorched ground, and I think passive perception revealed that to people. This room here with the pond in it, a tree had broken through the side of the temple, letting water flow in from the jungle, and there were crocodiles that were living in there. And then there was other stuff as well, which, we won't go too much into because I'd rather create something new. But to answer your question, is this going to be something that exists or like currently inhabited? I don't think it's going to be inhabited, but we'll kind of see where we want to take this. Are there going to be cultists living in this thing? I mean, I don't really want to go the cultist route. I think I would rather go kind of like an undead with maybe some like skeletal snakes or something like that. Definitely a bunch of, like, I would definitely want to lean heavily on traps. And that's something I haven't covered a ton on this channel either, is traps. I think I did one video on it. So I want to lean into that and show you how you can use AI to help you come up with something more clever than you probably could yourself. And then we'll come up with some sort of beasts. I might want to put a froghemoth in here. I think that'd be kind of cool. Maybe we'll homebrew it a little bit to make it more related to the location. Okay. Let's see. The dungeon. Not big on alcohol since my brother crawled. Okay, yeah. Abandoned, not really. Your ChatGPT stuff is good. Also like your work on Incarnate. Thank you. I definitely would like to do a little bit more of that stuff. I truly don't know what I want to do with the channel other than just be creative on it. So I'm gonna just do that. Okay, let's get back to the prompt here. So I consider a dungeon to have the following information, which I will provide you. A name, which I'm actually not going to provide the name. I think we'll come up with that over time. Description of location, theme, rooms, floors. And then I mentioned these things, which could obviously change. Appropriate challenge for 4 level 6 players. Also, sorry, just one last thing. All of these prompts will be available on the free tier in my Patreon. So you can find all of these things. I can edit them in the future if I find something works a little bit better. And all of that stuff will always be free up on the Patreon. It's basically a way to get you to go check out the stuff that does cost money, or maybe go support the channel because you want to. Okay, appropriate challenge for 4 level 6 players. I kind of like that, although I'm going to say 4 level 4 players, because then wildlife might be a little bit more of a challenge. The dungeon should be non-linear and allow for multiple pathways. Always good. Giving them actual choice that maybe even leads to the same place, but choice is important. There should be options for role-playing, so maybe they're going to find a goblin in here, or maybe even like a spirit of some sort. Can we bump up the max CR and scale the floors by CR? That's actually a pretty good idea. All right, let's adjust our query, or our prompt here to allow for that. Appropriate challenge for 4 level 6 players. Each floor should become, that's not the right word, progressively higher in challenge rating. Good idea. All right, cool. And we'll make sure of that. There should be options for role-playing. Each room should have a description that could be read by the dungeon master. This is something I haven't had a ton of luck with, but it's more that it's just too verbose. If I were actually playing this at a table, I wouldn't be like reading what it actually gives you. It's more, I like that it gives a longer description because it gives me the mental image that I can then take to the table. If appropriate, list which monsters would be in each room. If appropriate, list what treasure would be found in each room. Coin, mundane weapons, art pieces, magical items, items that help define the lore of the location, or mysterious items that act as quest hooks. And then here's always that key question, do you understand? Now, when I ask it if it understands, it should simply stop. Perfect. Awesome. Do you understand is 90% of the time enough to tell it that I don't want it to just take it and run with it. Because instead it's going to answer my question. Okay. Yes, I understand. Blah, blah, blah. Name, description, location. Okay. So I'm not going to come up with a name. We're going to ask it to come up with a name after a bit of time. The theme is going to be an abandoned jungle temple. Within the temple, well, I'll just stop there. There should be, let's go, because I want to be able to do this all on a stream. There should be, let's say 10 rooms. That's going to actually be pretty ambitious. Over 3 floors. I think that's pretty good. You can determine the description and the name. Cool. All right, so the theme is going to be an abandoned jungle temple. There should be 10 rooms over 3 floors, and I'm asking ChatGPT to determine both the name and the description, because that's kind of the fun of this. All right, so Temple of the Forgotten Spirit is hacky, very cliche. This is already giving me a ton. And that's okay. We're going to take what it gives us, and we're either going to adjust it, or we're just going to take it and run with it. Jungle, I can only think snakes and giant tarantulas. All right, yeah, we're definitely going to want to make sure that we have some giant spiders. All right, so this is already super interesting. We're going to go back through this, and we're going to read through multiple of these. Because we got to make them, right? And we want to make sure these are things that we can make. Okay, so the temple, we'll keep the name and the description at the moment, but I think that we're probably going to end up changing things because I kind of hate the Temple of the Forgotten Serpent. But then again, we'll see. All right, description of the location. The Temple of the Forgotten Serpent lies hidden deep within a dense and overgrown jungle. Ancient and weathered stone structures are entwined with thick vines and moss. The air is thick with humidity and the sounds of exotic wildlife. The temple was once a place of worship for a serpent deity, but it has been abandoned for centuries. Now only the brave or the foolish venture into its depths, seeking forgotten treasures and ancient secrets. So this is the kind of thing I might see in a PDF on, what is it, Dungeon DM Guild or something like that. Like, just a quick little description of what it is. And that's okay. You know what? I'm even just going to make that call. We're just going to go with the Temple of the Forgotten Serpent because I don't want to spend too much time worrying about the name. All right, the theme is Abandoned Jungle Temple. Let's go with the first floor. So, first floor, ground level. Room 1, the entrance hall. Okay, description. The entrance to the temple is a grand hall with high ceilings overrun by plant life. Sunlight filters through cracks in the stone, illuminating intricate carvings on the walls depicting serpents and jungle scenes. Cool. So, I'm already kind of picturing you've got your giant opening, like your big door with no actual doors. Like, it doesn't close, it's just a gate, right? And because of that, the jungle has begun seeping into this main gate room. As it said, it's been hundreds of years, so I'm expecting a lot of foliage in this room. Okay, in this room there's going to be 2 vine blights. Okay, so let's do this because I kind of have this ready to go and I want to show my preparedness. I'm also not going to restrict myself to official content just because I think that's not as exciting. So we have vine blights, which are going to be CR 1/2. Okay. For those of you that don't know about vine blights, let me show you what they look like. They're kind of these plant monsters that are covered in vines. Now, I don't want you to underestimate vine blights. They were almost the cause of my first player death in the Lands of Dominium that we were playing on the channel. So vine blights can be a problem. But here's the issue with them. They literally are a problem. They're kind of a pain because they can entangle. This constrict thing here can really make a lower level player kind of feel useless. If they're constricted for a few turns, they basically don't get to play. So that's not something I want to use. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to go back over to ChatGPT. I like the 2 vine blights, but we're going to do this. I want to make some notes of things I want to change. So I'm using Microsoft, OneNote. I never really use Microsoft OneNote. I usually use Evernote. So forgive me if I seem like I have no idea what I'm doing here. By the way, if you use this, like, what the hell is this? You just click anywhere and it puts the cursor there. That's awful, right? That's awful. I just want to type like a word processor. Okay, so vine blights, let's adjust their moves to have constrict. I want them to be more based off broadleaf plants. I don't know what that means yet. I actually have this this kind of like plant-based monster in my back pocket. I think I called it a ivy blight or something like that. It's essentially moving poison ivy, and I might want to use that instead. But I just want to point out that the vine blight, not loving it, but I like the concept of the jungle coming alive. Okay. So in here, there's 50 gold scattered among the vines, a potion of healing hidden in a cracked urn. Cool. I think that's great. I don't see any reason why that wouldn't be a thing. You know, Emily, I don't know why I didn't put that together. For those of you that don't know or didn't watch the live stream, snakes were a big part of that game. And they were always kind of supposed to be, but snakes were like the bane of one of the players, and I didn't even mean to do that, but I'm still totally going to go with it. A lot of jokes about snakes. Okay, so let's see. I thought the characters were 4th level. They are 4th level, yep. So, but that's the thing. A CR 1/2 is not meant to be a challenge, but the constrict thing, if you fail that roll, it sucks. And it's more, I guess I just hate it. I hate constrict. So I want to do something maybe a little bit worse, like that poison ivy blight. Okay. In room number 2, this is going to be the worship chamber. This is large chamber was once for the heart of worship, an altar. Oh, sorry. This large chamber was once the heart of worship. I was like, what the hell is the heart of worship? An altar stands at the far end, covered in dust and cobwebs. Statues of serpents loom from each corner, their eyes seemingly following visitors. And there's going to be a UNT pureblood. Okay. I don't want to do UNT at all. I want to just totally eliminate that from this entire thing. I get that it's a snake temple. I'm going to get rid of any UNT here. A silver necklace worth 100 gold pieces, an ancient scroll written in an unknown language, potential quest hook. Okay. I just don't think this is... No. Okay. So we're going to immediately go to the end because everything else is going to be based off the UNT, Yonti, whatever. I'm going to say UNT even though it's probably not right. Snake people. Okay. I don't want... Sorry. I would like you to redesign this temple without use of the UNT. I plan on having this temple be most... let's rethink this. I want the beginning of this temple to be some wildlife and then traps. And then I want it to be... I want to kind of get towards aberrations as I get lower. I think that's what I want to do with this. So the temple was ultimately used to summon some sort of either eldritch thing or... Let's go eldritch. I think eldritch is cool. So we're going to say the purpose of this temple was to summon an eldritch horror. And as you get... I'm going to have the temple go below the ground rather than going above it. I'm going to have it go further down deep into the jungle where things can get wet, they can get scary, they can get dark. Maybe there's gas. And as you get lower, it's going to be like wildlife and puzzles. And then it's going to be monsters of some sort that live down there, that maybe oozes or things like that. And then the very bottom is going to be an eldritch horror and other eldritch creatures. So I want to try to let them know that. So I'd like to redesign this temple without the use of the UNT. The first floor should be comprised of traps, wildlife as enemies, wildlife or plants as enemies. The second floor should be monsters that prefer the dark, such as oozes. And what are some other monsters in D&D that are like, that prefer the dark? I mean, I don't really want to go Underdark style, so let's more think, you know what, I'll even say I'm going to homebrew something. And some other homebrewed monsters that we will work on later. Let's say, give them a placeholder. With ideas of what would make a good monster. Cool. The third floor is going to be filled with eldritch horrors, darkness, poison gas, traps, and the last room in this temple should be a gate that will open to some sort of horror monster boss to be determined later. Okay, the players have the ability to stop the horror from being summoned if they are able to solve enough puzzles within the dungeon. Okay, so let's go with that. All right, Temple... Oh, I should have changed the name. Oh, well. So it kept the Forgotten Serpent and kept the name and the description the same, but that's okay. It's keeping the same names of the rooms. I probably should have told it to rethink all of that. Did it keep... Was Library of the Ancients room number 6? Yeah, it was. Okay, well, let's see what it comes up with. Let's see. So 2 Vine Blights still in the first room. The second room is going to have some poisonous snakes, so it got rid of the Yonti. I think it must be Yonti. You know what? Let's do this. I'm going to be a lot. UNT. Let's see what Matt Mercer and or the other one. Hold on. There's people who do these voice things, so. Okay. Marisha. I think Marisha Ray. She said UNT, and I think that's why I call it that, because they say it in here. Yeah, even Matt Mercer says UNT. All right, I'm going UNT. Anyway, doesn't matter because we're not doing them anymore. Okay, let's go back to ChatGPT. Okay, so we've got our entrance hall. Spawn larva. Did you see that? That sounds cool. All right, so entrance to the temple, blah, 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 overrun by plant life, 2 vine blades. Okay, cool. Room 2 is worship chamber. So large chamber is once the heart of worship. Altar stands to the far end. Dust covered. Blah blah blah. Serpents or You know what? Sorry. Let me do one more thing. Eliminate serpents as the theme. This is a temple to an eldritch god. Rename the temple as well. All right, let's try that. The Temple of the Eldritch Echo. That's a little too on the nose, but we'll keep it for the moment. The Temple of the Eldritch Echo lies hidden deep within a dense and overgrown jungle. Ancient and weathered stone structures are entwined with... Okay, same description. The temple was once a place of worship for an eldritch god, but it has been abandoned for centuries. Now only the brave or foolish, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. Still 2 vine blights. The next one, it makes sense that you're going to have your entrance and then immediately a worship chamber. I love it. It kind of has to be UNT. Yeah, I totally agree. Mike's saying it sounds like Yanti. Yeah, I don't know. They did it to themselves. I'm going UNT. Description. This large chamber was once the heart of worship. I'm going to read this for the 87th time. An altar stands at the far end, covered in dust and cobwebs. Statues of eldritch beings loom from each corner, their eyes seemingly following visitors. All right, we're going to make a note. So the note is going to say that in the worship chamber, there is a book on the altar that will... all right, we're going to generate some text for it that hints at the eldritch horror. Perfect. So if you really want to think about this, we're running this dungeon. Our people have just entered this. They've kind of immediately been attacked, but they can kind of write that off as, okay, the jungle is inside the temple. But now they're in the second room. It's a worship chamber. There's clearly a podium there. There's definitely going to be a book on it. They're going to read that book, and they're going to realize what the hell they're in for. And that's what I want to happen. While they're reading this book, 3 giant poisonous spiders emerge from somewhere. When we're actually making the map, I think it will become very obvious where we want those poisonous spiders to be. But I love it. Okay, so they're going to be maybe encircling the podium. Maybe they'll be exploring the room while one person's reading out loud. Doesn't matter. Either they're all going to be together and they're all going to get attacked, and that's probably going to be better for them, or they're going to be separated and I'll be able to kind of pick a couple people off while the players are attacking maybe one of the spiders. And that could do a little bit more damage. That could be really fun. Okay, treasure is a silver necklace worth 100 gold pieces, an ancient scroll written in an unknown language, potential quest hook, or roll history check. Okay, cool. Next is Hall of Trials. A narrow hallway with pressure plates on the floor. Some plates trigger darts, others cause the floor to collapse into a pit. Very classic, and I am totally here for it. I'm probably going to refine this one a little bit because I don't really love collapsing floors unless there's somewhere to go. Which there are a couple floors underneath, so maybe there is somewhere to go. We'll have to see what the second floor looks like. Okay, and in this room, there doesn't need to be treasure everywhere, but a chest at the end containing 200 gold pieces and a wand of magic missiles. I would probably get rid of that because I think this Hall of Trials would be... We're going to have like a hidden path that the players could discover, because if there are people in this temple, they're in that worship area, you're either going to have this be like a test of yourself as a devotee, but if you need to get past it, you don't want to be going through like a death trap every time you need to just get to the next room. So there should be a hidden path. So I'm going to make a note of that. I'm not going to switch windows every time. Make a hidden path to bypass the trial chambers. Oh, okay. Sorry, Hall of Trials. The Hall of Trials. Okay. Next is Overgrown Sanctuary. This room is filled with dense plant life and a strange glowing fungi. The air is thick with the smell of decay, and bones litter the floor. There's going to be 3 shambling mounds in here, which is going to be a lot for... I'm sorry, did I say that this was going to be 4 level 4s or 4 level 6s? Because 3 shambling mounds is a hell of a fight. Let's just see real quick. 4 level 6. Okay. That's still a heck of a fight, but I think that they could probably make that work. Let's see. All right, 3 shambling mounds. Ring with an eldritch motif. Ring of protection. Okay, cool. So We'll have to come up with an interesting way of getting this ring. I could see it totally just caught up. Maybe inside of one of the shambling mounds, they find like a hand and it has this ring on it. I think that could be neat. Okay. Also, by the end of this, after I've gone through all of this, I'm going to ask it to define the dimensions of each one of these rooms as well, so it'll be easier to map out. Okay. Mid-level, second floor. Okay, so there's going to be some sort of a stairway, or maybe just like a broken floor or something like that. Maybe there's some vines. I like that. Broken floor, vines from the overgrown sanctuary to climb down to the second floor. Okay. It appears like it's trying to build up. I'm going to build down. Guardian's Chamber. Oops, sorry about that. Guardian's Chamber. A large room guarded by a stone statue of an eldritch creature. The statue animates when intruders enter. Okay, here's what I love. This eldritch creature is going to be some sort of a construct that was put together. It's not just going to be like stone. It is stone, but it's not just going to be that. This was a carving that was meant to depict this eldritch horror that just by definition should be unable to even be described. And I'm going to give it some sort of like minor powers that you would see in... Oh, hold on one sec. Sorry. Text from my wife. Okay, so in here, we're going to have... This stone statue is going to have minor powers that the god itself would have. So, I don't know, let's say the god, just as one of its minor powers, can cast darkness. And maybe, what is that one? The, like Hadar's tentacles or whatever those are called. Basically just the dark tentacles that come out of nowhere. Like, it's going to be able to do some of these things, maybe like the lower level skills. After we build the boss, we'll come back and redefine what this thing can do. Cool. All right, let's see. Bestial halflings or goblin society. It's very possible there could be some goblins in here, but I don't really want to go that way. At least not at the moment. Hey, Bourbon Bites, what's up? Thanks for letting me lurk for a bit, Bill. Love the creativity, world building, and character creation will always be my favorite part of the game. Totally agree with you, David. So thanks for stopping by. All right, let's see. So we're going to keep going. So a stone golem, I see that it wants us to go with that. So let's see what a stone golem is from a CR rating. So we're going to go over to D&D Beyond. We're going to look up a stone golem. Okay, so this is a CR10. Holy crap. I think that might be a little tough, but that's okay. Stone golem. Oh, I just realized that you guys couldn't even hear it when I was hitting the play button, but that's okay. Something to change for next time. Okay, treasure. A hidden compartment in the statue contains 2 potions of greater healing, which of course they're going to need, and a map leading to a hidden treasure in the jungle. I think I would probably change that to be more information about the jungle temple. I like creating kind of self-encapsulating, unless I have an overarching story arc, which I'm not going to be able to help you with your own campaigns, because you alone kind of know your story arc. But in the case of a temple, like a jungle temple, most of it should be kind of by itself. Okay. Room 6, Library of the Ancients. Terrible name. Terrible name. We're gonna rename that. Rename Library of the Ancients. It's just so hacky. That is probably the worst part about ChatGPT. Unless you really poke at it, it's not creative with naming things, but that's okay. It helps me out enough. I can use a little bit of my brain. Shelves of ancient moldy tomes line the walls. Some books crumble to the touch, but others contain valuable information. There's 2 specters in here. I don't love that, but maybe. I would almost more make that like a role-playing event. A spellbook containing several mid-level spells, an ancient tome detailing the history of the temple. I think that both of those are great, and they will definitely be in the room. I don't know. What do you guys... Let me put this to you guys. So 2 specters. I'm going to kind of show you what a specter... Like, I know you know what a specter is just from... So, spectre. Oh my gosh. Spectre. Why can't I spell this right? Spectre. Okay, it was there. I was just blind. Alright, so a specter here is an angry, unfettered spirit of a humanoid that's been prevented from passing to the afterlife. Okay, actually, maybe I'll take this back. So, some of the people who were trying to summon this Eldritch Horror, of which we still have no name for, part of their death involved staying in the temple for eternity to, like, either protect it or something. You could choose to fight them, in which case all that you'll have are the tomes. Or if you are somehow able to communicate with them, we'll find out that it's been hundreds of years. They were not promised this god that they worshipped because it was never released. They regret their decisions. You now have somebody you can talk to and maybe learn something about the temple. I think that's kind of cool. All right, so let's do specters. I'm going to spell it right this time. Are a possible NPC that you can role play with. Cool. Or kill. They are... What's their CR rating? They're CR1, so they won't even be that hard to kill. All right. Let's go back to ChatGPT. Plague wasps. I like that, Emily. I might have to find a way to put that in here. Brown creeping mold. Yeah, I'm totally with you. I was thinking about how to incorporate some sort of spores, or I like that. Brown creeping mold on the books. Perfect. Love it. Okay. Hall of Mirrors. I don't know if this is going to make a ton of... I'm guessing this is going to be a bounce the sunlight thing around. This corridor is lined with mirrors that create illusions and distort reality. Okay, I take that back. This is getting a little bit more eldritchy. Navigating through without triggering traps requires a successful wisdom saving throw. That feels a little less than what I'd want. I'd want more things. There's no enemies. A small hidden compartment behind one of the mirrors contains 3 pearls worth 50 gold pieces each and an amulet of proof against detection and location. Fine. My guess is that it's probably rolling on its like minor magical item table. We'll have to rethink that one. I kind of don't like that room at all. Rethink the Hall of Mirrors. Okay. We'll keep going. Dark Nexus. This sounds promising. A central chamber shrouded in darkness. Strange glowing mushrooms provide dim light. The air is cold and damp. That sounds boring. There's 2 black puddings in here. Let's just double check what a black pudding is, as far as its stats. Oh, black pudding. Okay. So this is a CR4. Cool. That's an unfortunate ogre. All right, so let's see. We've got amorphous, sure, corrosive. Take acid damage if you hurt it. Can eat through 2-inch thick non-magical wood or metal in 1 round. That could be awful. If you do that, make sure you put some other weapons in this temple. Spider climb. Okay, sure. It has a pseudopod. Okay. And it can split. When a pudding that is in medium or larger is subjected to lightning or slash damage, it splits into 2 new puddings if it has at least 10 hit points. Each new pudding has hit points equal to half the original puddings rounded down. Okay. I like this. I'm going to absolutely have this in here. And we are going to find a way to make this actually a little cooler. So, I want to add... I don't want to just have a fight. I want them to have something to do in this room. So the Dark Nexus, let's make a note of that. Dark Nexus... definitely have black puddings, but have some goal that needs to be accomplished. The idea being that they might start splitting these things, and, you know, if my players don't know what is happening, they might think this goes on forever. Every time I slash it, it divides. I better stop slashing at it and try to get out of here. But, you know, maybe... Hey, thanks, David! A gelatinous cube pit trap. That has some tendrils. Okay. You know what? You super chatted. We're going to add that. Cool. Thank you so much. Let's say gelatinous cube pit trap. It would actually, you know what'd be really funny just to try to describe is somebody, like the floor crumbling from underneath somebody, a person falling like 3 feet. And then suddenly they're just floating in the air, and so are all the random pieces of stone. As people start to realize what's going on, they're already starting to get kind of, you know, that acid damage, and you see the stone kind of starting to crumble away. I love that concept, but I love the concept if the gelatinous cube is only a few feet underneath the ground. So we're definitely going to put that in there, David. Cool. All right, so Dark Nexus. Homebrew monsters. Okay, so here's a placeholder. Shadow Stalkers. Ethereal creatures that lurk in the darkness, attacking from the shadows. Okay, so kind of like shadows. We'll see. I might take this one and instead do that complicated thing. I want to try to, like, we're already at room number 8 of 10, and we haven't really hinted at anything having to do with this Eldritch Beast or horror other than that statue. So I kind of want to combine the concept of the mirror room with this Dark Nexus, where there's a number of these little portals that you can look into, and each one you look into maybe shows like a different future outcome of the world that you're playing in, or something like that. Just the word Dark Nexus is evocative of something much cooler. Dark Nexus room, various vortexes that you can look into and see random futures, many of which are the players dying. That could be really fun. Put a timer on it. Okay, I'll add that timer. Cool. Okay, let's keep going. So in the treasure here would be a black crystal that hums with dark energy, potential quest hook. Okay, I actually, oh, you know what would be really neat? So let's expound upon the idea of the nexuses, and if you can identify one of them that for whatever reason would be wrong and like reach your hand in, you'll pull out this black crystal. And that black crystal could be something used to prevent that summoning of that end creature. Cool. Reaching in and pulling out a black crystal will be an item for later in the dungeon. Neat. All right, 3rd floor. So we are now, we're now down to the 3rd floor. Excuse me. Maybe we get there by falling in that pit. And based off, you know what? Here's what we'll do, David. All right, hold on. Would love to see you do an Armored Core meets Zone of Enders space piracy setting. I gotta be honest, Recycled. I know what both of those things are. I don't know how I would combine them. So I'll think about it. I have no idea how I would do that, but it sounds intriguing. All right, so let's think back on this. So if we take David's idea of this gelatinous cube pit trap, based off when the players enter the temple to when they reach where they can get to the 3rd floor, that would be whether the cube is actually there or not. So one way or another, I mean, I hate kind of railroading a thing, but I think if they're in this room number 8, and they haven't quite figured out what to do yet, the floor will just crumble. And based off how long they've been there, or maybe when they get the rock, something is going to make the floor crumble. I don't know what it is yet. When the floor crumbles, if they've been in the temple for X amount of time or longer, the cube will be there. If they went fast, it won't be there. I think that would be cool. Or maybe it's just there anyway. We'll see. I kind of want people to fall into a gelatinous cube. Chamber of the High Priest, room number 9. This opulent chamber once belonged to the temple's high priest. The room contains a large bed, ornate furniture, and a writing desk. What do you guys think about that? It feels like there's nowhere else in this temple that people live. I don't know if maybe this high priest lives here because they're constantly at the Eldritch Heart, which is the next room, and kind of like trying to bring this creature to the world. Maybe that's why they have to live there. I'm not sure. What do you guys think about that? Okay. Either way, there's going to be a white and 2 zombies. Yeah, this room is boring. 500 gold pieces, a ceremonial dagger of venom, which I think is a magic item. Let's double check that. In D&D Beyond, we have a dagger of venom, which is a rare dagger. +1 weapon, cool. Blah, blah, blah. Use an action to cause thick black poison to coat the blade. The poison remains for 1 minute or until an attack using this weapon hits a creature. Con saving throw or a bunch of poison damage. Okay. I mean, that's a cool weapon. I think it's thematic. I like the idea of having a dagger of venom. Whoops. Where am I? Okay. And then a diary detailing the downfall of the temple. Okay. I mean, all of these items are cool. I just don't like the enemies, and I'm not really sure if I like the theme of the room. So we'll probably just completely redo the Chamber of the High Priest. I don't know. I don't like it. Chamber of the High Priest remake into... I want it to be... All right, let me ask you guys a question. So I need your feedback here. How are we summoning the Eldritch Horror? Is it prayer? Is it sacrifice? Is it like gold? Is it something else? I'd love to know what you guys think. Let's say remake into something else that the audience helps decide. Now, if I'm doing this by myself, I would actually probably say something to the effect of, I don't like room number 9. Here are some ideas I have. What are 10 other ideas that could be used to summon an Eldritch Horror that I could base a room around? Prayer and sacrifice. Sleeping area for the cultists or kitchen. Sacrifice party members. Ooh, interesting. You know, now you got me thinking back about that, the Dark Nexus room. Maybe in each one, maybe it would be like each person would end up looking in a different Nexus and seeing a different character die. And like 2 of them are going to see the same character die, and that person needs to be not sacrificed because we don't want like players killing players, but maybe somehow that works into it. Like that person needs to be offered up as a sacrifice. Whether you kill them or not is different. But let's look at the Eldritch Heart, and then we can kind of get through all the rooms, and then we can redesign some stuff. The floor of this circular room is inlaid with a massive eldritch mosaic. Of course it is. That makes sense. Oh, the ceremonial dagger might be the tool to use to kill. I like that. All right, the floor of the circular room is inlaid with a massive eldritch mosaic. The walls are covered in ancient glowing runes. In the center lies a pulsing magical artifact shaped like an eldritch heart. I would just straight up just put a heart there. I wouldn't say it's a artifact at all. I think it's a large beating heart that's like black. I just think that would be a really cool thing to see. There's a beholder zombie. Huh. So I'm not going to do that. I like beholder zombies. But I think this needs to be a room where there's a timed event. And if you don't do the right stuff based off what you learned in the temple, then this horror starts to come through. We can call it kind of like an avatar, similar to like if the gods were to come down. It wouldn't be like a CR 35 god. It would be like a 14 or like a 10, because we're still dealing with level 6s. The Eldritch Heart, an artifact with unique magical properties, is your treasure. 300 gold pieces and a Staff of the Eldritch. What is that? Is that a thing? Staff of the Eldritch? It's always wild to me when I run across a magic item that I haven't heard of before. It is a thing. Eldritch Staff. Okay. It's very rare. Quarterstaff +1, 10 charges, regain some, of course. All right, when you hit with a melee attack using the staff, you can expend up to 3 of its charges. The target takes an extra 1d8 lightning damage. Okay, so it's kind of like an Eldritch Blast, but with lightning. If you take damage while holding the staff, you use your reaction to expend 3 of the staff's charges, whereupon you turn invisible and teleport yourself along with any equipment you're wearing up to 60 feet. That's kind of cool. You remain invisible until the start of your next turn. Boy, that's kind of a unique item. What is that from? That's from Wild Beyond the Witchlight. Okay. I don't think I really ever did anything with that one. Hey! What's up, James? Are Luna Gems? How's your stream going? Just seems to be going pretty good. Okay. Yeah, so there's a few things that are wrong here. Oh, okay. It ended up doing 12 rooms. I definitely told it to do 10 rooms. But let's see what it says. Hidden Sanctuary, a secret room only accessible through a hidden passage. The sanctuary is untouched by time with a small shrine and offerings. Okay, so it's like a treasure room. One Kotal, Coatl, I think. It's like that thing that's like a Quetzalcoatlus, I think was... No, Quetzalcoatlus was a dinosaur. Kind of like a Rhamphorhynchus or like a pterodactyl. But there's a Quetzalcoatl was the Incan or Mayan god. I think it was like a thunderbird. Whatever. I don't. Whatever. A chest containing 1,000 gold pieces, a +1 longsword, and a clue to another forgotten temple, which would be a quest hook. And then there's the Eldritch Gate. Okay, so I think part of this is the Eldritch Heart was not the last room, but I thought it should be because it was room number 10. So I should have just kept reading. Let's see what the Eldritch Gate has. The final chamber contains a massive arcane gate with intricate carvings of eldritch symbols. The room is filled with an eerie green mist. If the players do not solve the puzzles, the gate will open to summon a horror monster. 3 gibbering mouthers, or gibbering mouthers, poison gas traps, okay. Treasure clues and components to stop the summoning, a rod of eldritch power, quest item, and 500 gold pieces. All right, let's just read through the rest of this. So, dungeon design notes, non-linearity, multiple pathways and hidden passages allow for different routes through the temple. Opportunities to interact with ancient text, decipher runes, and potentially communicate, blah, blah, blah. And then each floor becomes progressively harder, starting with CR 1 through 2 on the first floor, CR 4 to 5 on the second floor, and CR 6 to 7 on the third floor. Now, a zombie beholder, or a beholder zombie, has to be higher CR than a 6. But maybe I'm wrong. Let's see. D&D Beyond. It's a CR 5. I didn't realize that. Okay. Huh. Undead Fortitude. Holy crap. That's... Hold on. If damage reduces the zombie to 0, it must make a con save. Unless the damage is radiant or... All right. On a success. Yeah. Undead Fortitude. Okay. So this beholder has Undead Fortitude. That's horrific. Okay. And then there's... This is a cool... I actually take it back. The beholder zombie would be really fun to have in that previous room because I didn't realize that it was not the last room. So I guess this is going to be a 12 room done. Oh, jeez. Sorry. I guess this is going to be a 12 room dungeon. Serpent God of Aztecs. Thank you. Giant Sky Snakey. Okay. Now, hold on. Quetzalcoatl. Yeah, there it is. Okay, I guess it is a giant sky snake. I was under the impression it was something slightly different, but I think it's because I'm picturing what was in, Final Fantasy 7 or 8 or 9, one of them, which looked not like a sky snake. More like a bird. Okay, so we have some ideas, and we have some notes, and we have a whole bunch of things that we want to change. But let's talk about the parts that we like right now. So the entrance hall is perfect, but, well, it's not perfect because we're going to change the vine blights to this. Now, when I'm doing something like this, sorry, let me just scroll up a little bit higher. I like to start at room number 1, and I like to further define it. Okay, so let's go room by room. I'll tell you what I want to change, and I'd like you to redefine it. Whatever. It's kind of like a nothing statement, but I want it to know that we are specifically targeting a specific area. You'd call it a phrase in like programming. This phrase is what we're concentrating on. So, room number 1 is entrance hall. So I want to change the 2 vine blights to be a homebrewed monster that's more akin to a broadleaf plant such as poison ivy. I don't want constricting to be a move or an action, but I want a lingering poison lasting X. Let's go lasting X minutes. And all right, here's what we're gonna do. I want a lingering poison that will define shortly, or in the next prompt, I'm going to come up with a disease, or a lingering disease. I guess I'd call it a toxin. Let's say lingering toxin. That we'll define in the next prompt. No, let's define it now. I'm thinking through this, right? So I'm basically trying to have it homebrew a monster for me, but if I'm not going to give it what I want it to do, I'm just going to end up having to redo it anyway. All right, so I want to change the 2 vine blights to be 2 homebrewed monsters that are more akin to a broadleaf plant such as poison ivy. I don't want constricting to be an action, but as a monster feature, I want a lingering toxin that every what do we think? Every like 10 minutes or so? I want it to last a half hour. Like I want this to be something that they're still rolling on in the next 2 rooms. So every 10 minutes, the player needs to roll a successful Constitution saving throw, or we could just become poisoned. Let's just go with that. Because poisoned already has, like, a definition. Grick monsters carved into snake statues. That's a fun idea. Alright, so let's see what I missed here. Have a Naga as the main priest, then summon the undead beholder. Have Grick monsters carved into snake statues. The AI guy, main campaign, fights a zombie beholder in the very first arc. Episode 6 or so, if I remember correctly. Good campaign, by the way. I do recommend. Oh, I actually didn't know that was a thing. Toxin, 1 hit point, 30 minutes, and half healing. What if Beholder was big swarm of crawlies that connect in deepest chamber? Can you give me more, Emily? I'm trying to figure out exactly what you mean. All right, so this gave me a little bit more. We're talking now about just the first floor. So we have the entrance hall still. The entrance to the temple is a grand hall with high ceiling. I just am seeing if the description is different. Overrun by plant life. Sunlight filters through the cracks in the stone, illuminating intricate carvings on the walls, depicting abstract and unsettling shapes. The air is thick with the smell of damp earth and decay. I think that's the same description. All right, the enemies are broadleaf toxins. That's dumb. I guess they called them broadleaf toxins. I might call them broadleaf blights, so we'll just go with that. So broadleaf blights are going to be a medium plant, unaligned, with a AR of 13. Sounds about right. 45 hit points. What are they? CR2s. Okay, so they're not CR1 quarters. 45 is a lot. I'm going to tell it to change it to be like a CR1. All right, 20-foot speed. Some stats, whatever. We won't go through all of these. Let's see. It's got a multi-attack, vine lashes. Okay, I'm cool with that. Okay. Features lingering toxin. A creature poisoned by the broadleaf toxin must make a DC 13. All right, so hold on. On a hit, the target must succeed on a DC 13 con saving throw or become poisoned for 1 hour. A creature poisoned by the broadleaf toxin must make a DC 13 con saving throw every 10 minutes. On a failed save, the creature remains poisoned. On a successful save, the creature is no longer poisoned. Okay, I don't think it's going to take them too long to roll above a DC 13 con. But if it does, it'll just hurt. Cool. All right, so minor thing. Let's rename them to broadleaf blights. I'd like them to be redone for as a CR1 creature. I think that's it. All right. What else needs to be in this room? Actually, let's go with that. We're gonna focus on just the creature right now. Okay, so again, it's redefining that first thing. Now, one thing I forgot to mention is that when I am redefining each room, I want the dimensions. Okay. So, can you describe what the broadleaf blight looks like? We're going to take this over to Midjourney. We're going to make some character art. Now, one thing I have found, and this was not the way that it was even like a year ago, Excuse me. Those vine monsters need some reach, grapple, and drag effect. So I actually disagree in this case. With these broadleaf blights, I think that their power is in the fact that they can poison people from a distance. They don't want to fight you if you can fight back. They want you to be disadvantaged so that they can hurt you and then eventually probably eat you. Right? So if you think about it, like they're most likely going to eat small rodents or whatever, where they just whack them and they die. If they don't die immediately, they're going to get poisoned. They'll die on the next hit. You're an adventurer. You've got a lot more hit points. They're going to be hitting you and probably backing away from you. So I don't think they want to drag you towards them at all, at least not in this case. Okay. So broadleaf blights. Poison increases as swarm expands. What if you... Okay. Okay, the broadleaf... So, all right, that was what I was going to do. So here's what I was going to get to. So we're going to go over to Midjourney here, mostly because I think we've spent a lot of time in ChatGPT at the moment, and I'm going to show you what I would do. Now, this could take a few iterations, and it usually does, but one of the cool things... I didn't even read this description entirely, but I'm going to make that Midjourney's problem. So I'm going to type that whole thing, and actually... I usually make things in aspect ratio of 16:9 because it is something I could do for a thumbnail for a YouTube video. But I actually don't want that for this because I'm probably just going to make a token out of this. So we're just going to do the whole description as the prompt. But while that's happening, I'm also going to do Dungeons and Dragons style monster. And then I'm going to put the whole description. And while both of those chug away, we're going to head back to ChatGPT, and we are going to redefine the dimensions of this room. Can you rewrite the first room to include the new monsters as well as the dimensions of the room? In going forward, whenever I ask for dimensions of for descriptions of a room, I want you to include the dimensions, how it smells, what it sounds like, how it feels, what is the ground made of, how high is the ceiling. These are all things that your players might ask. Well, I like this idea recycled, and actually, I love that you guys are getting so into this very first monster that we're homebrewing. This is the first room of this place. We don't need it to be super deadly. While this is regenerating, we're going to head over to Midjourney, and we are going to see what it came up with. All right, so let's just look here. Let me scroll this down just a tad so you can see. Ooh, I like that first one a lot. Look at that guy. That dude's a chonky guy. Wow. All right, let's see what the next one was, though. All right, so you guys tell me. We're gonna kind of take this like number 1, number 2, 3, 4, right? Think quadrants, and then 5, 6, 7, 8. So here's what I'm gonna do. We're gonna go back. I'm actually gonna throw my face up here for a minute, and I'm gonna bring up. Boy, I'm like all over the place with my folders. Come on, keep going back. Do. That's not what I want. All right, I won't. Live streams, this. All right, we are going to grab this picture. I'll be faster with this in the future. I just was in the wrong window. And then we're going to do this, and we're going to grab both of these. We're going to throw them onto OBS. All right, and this is for you guys to decide. Throw in the chat 1 through 8. Starting at the top left, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the second picture is going to be 5, 6, 7, 8. Which ones do you guys like the most? Which one represents the broadleaf blight? I'm going to cover up my face because nobody wants to see that. Not when you could be looking at cool monster art. I'm leaning towards number 1 personally, although number 5 looks really cool too. We're kind of all over the place. 1 and 5. All right, so Dennis agreed with me. I like that. 1, 1, 4, and 8. So 4. I think 4 is cool because it could just kind of be hanging off the wall, but that's not. I want it to be a mobile creature. I want it to be able to move, and that looks more just like something that would be hanging off the wall. Okay. And then we have 8. 8 looks cool too if it was just sticking out of the wall. And I don't want to count on my players being curious enough to just like poke at leaves that are popping out of the wall, although we all know that they will. I feel like it would be too atmosphere. Like I'd be like, oh, the room is covered in leaves, blah, blah, blah. I don't want them to be like, I don't think that they're going to be like, I go over and poke a leaf, you know? I think it needs to emerge. All right, so we've had a few votes for number 1, so we're going to go with that. So we're going to just get rid of these off the screen. Going to go back over to Midjourney. And we're going to upscale number 1. All right, so number 1 here is going to be our... Oh, I love that guy. All right. Sorry, I'm dragging this into my folder so that we can do something with it. Cool. All right, so I'm going to rename him Broadleaf Blight. All right, now when I am fiddling and making creatures and all that stuff, I use a tool called Token Stamp. Now, Token Stamp is awesome. If you drag your creature onto here, you can zoom it in, and I always will go to something like this because I like them to know it's an enemy. So I usually do the red, because it all depends, though. It depends on how you do this with your players. If you like to just be overt, like, this is an enemy, you should kill it, throw the red thing on it. If you don't, you can actually give it more like, oh, it's a plant. So, you know, now it's got this little plant thing. And then you hit download, and you now have a token that you can use in your game. Boom. Cool. So we're going to save that, and we're going to use that when we eventually go over to Foundry, and I'll teach you how to translate things from Midjourney or ChatGPT into Foundry. 1 is okay if it's tossing poison berries. Now, I'm sure you've seen poison ivy before. They grow little berries. That's actually how they get everywhere, and the little jerks kind of... I literally have poison ivy on my legs right now, so maybe I have that on my mind. Okay, so I think room number 1 is pretty well defined, but the dimensions of this room are 30 feet wide, 60 feet long, and a ceiling of 20 feet high. Oh yeah, I could definitely do that. But let me show you what I would do instead. So typically, if I'm running a virtual game, what I will do is, sorry, this is not cooperating. What I'll do is I'll actually have sorry, trying to do too many things at once. And I'm actually trying to rename things because I kind of want to make this available on Patreon as well, so that you guys can check it out for free. So I always have a naming convention I use. So I would have this guy as the profile picture, and then I would have this thing as the token on the screen. And I usually make it a point to show both. That way they can kind of get a good idea of what the whole thing looks like. Anyway, you could definitely do whatever you wanted with the token. And I will also say, just if you are interested, the Patreon, there's a free tier that I kind of use heavily to put all of my prompts and everything out there, as well as images. If you'd like to, you're welcome to use anything I'm creating tonight. Totally fine with me. If we come up with a pretty cool dungeon and you want to use it, that would be amazing. I'd love to hear about it. But if you really like the Broadleaf Blight, then feel free to use that too. Okay, so this room is 30 feet wide, 60 feet long, and a ceiling of 20 feet. Cool. We have a description of the area. The air is thick with the smell of damp earth and decay. There's a constant rustling sound like whispering wind, and as you can hear the plants moving slightly. The air feels humid. The floor is made of worn stone slabs, partially covered with moss and creeping vines, and the ceiling is 20 feet high with vines hanging down in places. So now you can picture that room quite a bit better. Okay, so now let's go back to room number 2. We have defined we've defined room number 1 as well as an enemy here. So the worship chamber is room number 2. Now let me check my notes. In the worship chamber, I said there's a book in the altar. Generate some text for it that hints at the eldritch horror. Perfect. I think that we need to take a minute and figure out what this eldritch horror is going to be like. We've referenced the eldritch horror a few times. Could you give me an idea what this creature would look like? Can you give it a stat block? This should be something that's challenging for the players to fight, but not impossible, as it would only be the avatar of something from a distant world. I don't know if... I pictured the eldritch horror here being something that whatever this cult was, or, you know, group was, they were trying to bring to maybe help crush one of their enemies. And they didn't realize how powerful it was going to be. So this is going to end up being a CR10. So is a CR10 too strong for 4 level 6 adventurers? In my experience, no. But by the end of a temple, by the end of a dungeon, maybe. So let's see. Berry bombs. I like that. Okay, so I've just finished my beer, by the way. I absolutely need to have a whiskey, because I need something. So take a look at my collection here. Take a sec. And I have my bourbons here. I have my ryes up there. I have more bourbons here. A bunch of scotches kind of like here, and here, and here, and here. Some Indian, some Irish, and then there's floor whiskeys as well down there. I also have some other stuff over there, but I'm not going to go get that. And my dog is hanging out with me. He's right there. That's Barley. Of course, his name is Barley because whiskey. So let me know what you guys want me to drink, and I'll pour that as well as continue to talk about this stuff. All right, so the eldritch horror stands about 12 feet tall. Its form constantly shifting and writhing. It has a massive tentacles extending from its back, each tipped with sharp barbs. Its skin is sickly, mottled gray-green, pulsating with an unnatural glow. It has multiple eyes scattered... I love this. Scattered randomly across its body, each glowing with a malevolent, otherworldly light. Its mouth is a grotesque, ever-shifting maw filled with rows of jagged teeth, emitting a horrifyingly guttural sound that seems to echo from depths of madness. That is freaking fantastic. I love it. I love that it didn't just give it tentacles on the face, but it still gave it tentacles on its back. I think that's great. Looking at its stat block, it's a huge aberration, chaotic evil, AR-16, which is a little low, but I think that's good considering it's 150 hit points and they're going to be pretty beat up by this point. Their speed is 30 with a fly of 40, which is hover. Okay. Some pretty good stats, really good con. All right, some saving throws, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Has deep speech telepathy for 120 feet. That could be cool. I'd love to play with that. All right, so it's got an amorphous form. It can move through a space as narrow as 1 inch wide without squeezing, so that's interesting. Magic resistance, okay. Maddening presence. Any creature that starts its turn within 30 feet of the Eldritch Horror avatar must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or be frightened for a minute. Cool. It can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns with disadvantage if the horror is within line of sight. That's awesome. Okay, so it's got a fear, which makes sense. It's got a multi-attack. It makes 3 attacks, bite, and 2 with its tentacles. It has a bite, it has tentacles. If the target's a creature, it is grappled. Until the grapple ends, the target is restrained. Okay. It's got a mind blast. Okay, so we got a little psychic stuff going on there. Stun target, so you're going to stun people. Cool. It also has some legendary actions. A tentacle attack, a teleport, and maddening gaze. Which is another fear, essentially, but it's also... Oh, no, it's not fear. It's damage plus paralysis. I love it. Cool. Something else that ChatGPT can do, that Midjourney also can do, but I can say, can you generate an image of this? I want to teach you guys something else that I've been doing. All right, so let's see what you guys think I should be drinking. Tanqueray. Southern sweet tea. In light of the green plant thingy, a green spot. Oh, that's a good idea. Gray goose. Barley boy. All right. Well, James Taylor, I like your idea. I'm not going to go with green spot, but I am going to go with a spot. Maybe I'll do the Chateau Montelena. All right. It is a form of green spot. I know, right? I love this. Holy crap. I didn't even see the image. That's amazing. I can't improve upon that. Holy crap. So this is something I was going to teach you guys, and I guess I'll do it just for the heck of it, but I can't see about how to do better than that. Oh my god. I freaking love this guy. Look at him. All right. So something that I've learned is I could say, can you give me the prompt you used to generate the image of the creature? Look at that thing. All right, so here's the prompt that it used. Now, I can grab this prompt, and I can go over to Midjourney, and I can basically just imagine that prompt. And now I'll see what Midjourney thinks of it. Seriously. Oh, man, I love it. A towering, nightmarish creature about 12 feet tall with a chaotic and constantly shifting form. It has a massive tentacles extending from its back, each tipped with sharp barbs. Its skin is a sickly... Okay, so it has part of it. Multiple eyes. All right, so I actually do think that's not entirely the description it gave me. It changed it a little bit. It's emitting a malevolent, otherworldly light. Its mouth is a grotesque, ever-shifting maw filled with rows of jagged teeth. Emitting a horrifyingly guttural sound, the creature exudes an aura of dread and madness. Cheers, everybody. Yeah, ChatGPT being able to make images is a fairly new thing. All right, so let's see. What did Midjourney come up with? I mean, those are pretty good, too, especially number 2. I really like number 2 here. Let's actually make this a little bigger. I can't pan. I could just drag. Yeah, I mean, I kind of like number 2, but to be honest, I don't know that I'm making it better than the picture that ChatGPT came up with. That thing was amazing. All right, so we're gonna use that either way. All right, I'm gonna grab this picture, throw that in my my file, whatever you want to call it, folder here. Oh, sorry. I'm also going to say, could you regenerate the picture, making it full body? Let's see if it comes up with more. Emily really wants some spiders. We'll get to the spiders. We've only done one room. Although it's only been about an hour and 20 minutes. Oh, this looks terrible. I mean, it's sideways. So I guess that's part of it. It actually doesn't look as bad as I thought, but let's do this. Can I fiddle? I think I can fiddle. No, I can't fiddle. What's this do? I don't know what that does. Select. Oh, I can select stuff and then change things. I want to... I like that it has these little things floating around it, though. Like, if... Can only 4.0 generate pictures? Yeah, I believe it's... So, this is, there's ChatGPT 3.5, 4, and then 4.0, or 4.0. It's not even 4.0, which is strange. Anyway, yes, I believe that is the one that can do images. All right, let me grab this image here. I want to rotate it so we can all look at it, like, not sideways. Well, I don't necessarily think it was bad. Like, I don't think it needs to try again. The first picture was definitely the best. Yeah, absolutely. Like, holy crap, man. I actually, you know what? I'm just going to go with that because it really is just so good. But I'm in Photoshop right now. I'm just transforming this. Let's unlock it, edit, transform, rotate, to the right. Cool. And then canvas. I don't even know how to do this. I don't know what I'm doing. All right. All right, so we've got... I can do this. Cool. Let's change this. Come on. ChatGPT. Drag. I mean, that guy looks cool, too. Especially vertically. Could that be the same dude? I mean, kinda. This one's a lot cooler, though. All right, we're gonna go with this thing. Now, very clearly, this guy is an enemy. So we're gonna go over to here. We're gonna go back to token stamp. Where am I? Here I am. We're gonna go back to token stamp. We're going to make our Eldritch Horror into a token. This one's definitely getting the red ring treatment here. I want to make sure that you can see his head tendrils. It's a little crazy. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit so you guys can see this better. Ah, that's way too much. Okay. I mean, I guess that's okay. I think part of the problem is you're really not going to be able to get everything and have it look as cool in a token. This is definitely one that you're going to want to show your guy. All right, we'll throw that over here. We got to give him a name at some point. Trogdor the Burninator. All right, let's go back to ChatGPT. We got work to do. Make the token 4 square. Oh, duh. Yeah, I didn't. Well, yeah, I can't. I can't do that in. Oh, Huh. No, that's just scaling weird. Anyway, I will be able to make it bigger when I'm putting it into Foundry. Okay, so we're back to ChatGPT. Now we've got to talk about room number 2. All right, room number 2 is. We now know. I need a name for this guy. Can you give me a list of 10 names for the Eldritch Horror avatar? I could have thinned the ring a little bit, but I really think it's more just you're gonna want to look at it in a VTT. All right, so we've got the Whispering of. So first off, I don't really love these names because they're not like a proper noun. But I don't really know. Let me show you another tool that I use. Fantasy name generators. This is a tool that I used for a long time before I started using ChatGPT. I'm guessing a lot of you probably have heard of this before. Let's try this. I want Eldritch Horror. Lovecraftian names. All right, so we've got some cool names here. I don't even care what they are, but if you guys want to take a look here. Do any of these stick out to you as cool? Zazor. Zavri. I don't know. Let's get some new ones. Bob. Anaxi? That's not terrible. Tralka. Sounds like Klingon. Emlogox. How about just like Logox? Best way is take 2 names and mix match them. Yeah, I hear you. All right, well let's do this. Who's the dude that? So David was the guy that gave me a super chat. And then Mike was a guy that gave me. He supported me on Patreon for a long time. So let's combine the names David and Mike into a Lovecraftian name for this Eldritch Horror. I don't know why I put a question mark there. Devakov. Where's the mic part? Give me 10 options. All right. Mike-avid. Mike-avid. The deadly Mike David. I don't know. David Mike. I don't know if this is gonna work. Cavathos. I don't know where the Mike and the David part came from. Macdath. Alright. We'll go with Cavathos the Echoing Horror. Alright. Let's name him Cavathos the Echoing Horror. I said him, but whatever. Macbeth. All right, cool. So this memory updated. It's weird because it's something that persists across all of the different threads that you do in ChatGPT. I don't necessarily want it to remember that. I want my Eldritch Horrors named Cavathos, but whatever. Okay. Cool. All right. Could you list out room number 2 with my new requirements, which are going to be all of those different sights, sounds, heights, dimensions, all of those things. You can edit the memory, and you can also tell it to remove them. All right, the large chamber was once the heart of worship. An altar stands at the far end, covered in dust and whatever, blah, blah, blah. Okay. The air carries a musty scent of decay and ancient incense. A faint, eerie whisper echoes through the chamber as if the walls themselves are murmuring. The atmosphere is heavy with an oppressive, unsettling energy. The floor is made of cracked, uneven stone tile, partially covered with moss and small patches of luminescent fungi. The ceiling is 25 feet high, with occasional cracks allowing beams of light to shine through. Giant poisonous spiders. Okay, that's right. This one has the giant poisonous spiders. Okay, how are we going to adjust it so that our giant poisonous spiders have been corrupted by a temple to an eldritch god? Is a phrase I always hoped I would say. Hey, homie, checked your videos. Seems like you were new in Twitch, not yet verified. Oh, okay. You guys, stupid people, and they're like whoever. Whatever, bots. Okay. So the spiders have made their home in the dark corners of the chamber, their webs hanging like tattered drapery from the statues and ceiling. Okay, so there's a few things that we need to do here. Number one, we need to create our spiders. We need to write a book or a passage in a book. And we need to figure out where the entrance and exit of this room are, because it hasn't really been very clear about that. Going forward, I want you to include where the entrance and exit of each room would be. Sorry, I know I've adjusted this thing. Let's drag this back up so you can see when I'm typing. Okay, cool. I'll just make that up when I'm making the... Oh, all right, it's going to reword it for me. That's fine. Okay, so we need to... Easy undead bone-leg spiders. Undead bone-legged spiders. Okay, well, let's make some undead spiders. Cool, I like it. I would like the giant poisonous spiders to be undead, have large bony legs. Their carapace. I think carapace. Yeah, I think spiders? Do spiders have a carapace? I know they have an exoskeleton, but I think that's the same thing. Yeah, okay. Yep, their carapace should be broken, cracked, and falling off of them. Could you generate a stat block for me for these spiders? Give them a cool name. Getting a little less creative. Give them a cool name. Bone leg spider. Giant bone leg poison spider. Necro spider. That's perfect. All right. They're an unsettling sight with large bony legs that scrape against the ground as they move. Their carapaces are broken, cracked, and falling off in pieces, revealing the decaying undead flesh underneath. Their multiple eyes glow with an eerie and unnatural light, and their movements are accompanied by the unsettling sound of bones clattering. Perfect. Okay. They have undead fortitude, which is nice. So they might come back to life. Webwalker, okay, sure. Multi-attack, bite, leg spike. Okay, a leg spike, so they're going to try to stab you with their legs and pierce you. Love it. Their web, they have a web attack. Now, their spiders, they're fairly well defined. I don't want to go too crazy with homebrewing them. I mostly just wanted them to look and act a little bit different. So let's see. The worship chamber is updated with... The entrance is a large stone archway on the north wall leading from room 1. Interesting. So our map is actually going to kind of start towards the top of the map. Exit a narrower passage on the south wall leading deeper into the temple. Okay, there's 3 necro spiders. All right, so what causes the necro spiders to attack? No, actually, I already had an idea for that. I don't need that. Corrosive webs instead of sticky. Ooh, I like that. The necro spider's webs should be corrosive. That's 2 R's. Corrosive. And not sticky. Oh, and stick to the player's armor. If they are not able to wipe it away, it will potentially destroy non-magical metal armor that is non-magical. Cool. Giant long legs kind of sounds like this. Okay. There was something I was going to do. Okay, so we know that the spiders... I had already determined earlier that I want the spiders to attack when they're reading the book. Okay. The book that is on the altar should be falling apart and have pages and words missing. I want the text in the book to hint at what the cultists, we'll just call them cultists, were doing here. They should speak of... I liked his name, but I kind of forget what we called him. It was like Karnath or something. Cavathos. All right, I'm going to save that to my notes here. Oops. Come on. Cavathos the Echoing Horror. Okay. They should speak of how to summon Cavathos the Echoing Horror, where he comes from, where it comes from, and potentially some weaknesses. These pieces of information should be hidden behind a... what do we think? Arcana? Because this is going to be written in some language that people aren't going to know. So what would I have people roll? I don't want it to be history. I mean, that could be something, but that won't get you everything. It could be a mixture of both history and Arcana. If you can't read it, then I don't want them to not be able to read it, because nobody's going to have deep speech or like anything related to that, really. So I want them to be able to read it. Yes, they could always cast a spell to be able to read, but I don't know that they'll have that. So I want them to have a chance. I want them to be able to read or determine from hieroglyphics something about this thing. But if they roll well on Arcana, maybe, then they're going to learn more. Let's see what you guys are saying. Instead of a book, how about a stone dial that's cracked? You can scatter pieces for them to find. Or a broken tablet like missing a fifth being the footnote warning. There is a religion check. I could do religion. That's a good idea. Should be hidden behind a few types of rolls. History will tell them minor information about Cavathos. Religion will tell them a lot more. Arcana... religion will tell them... more about where Cavathos comes from. Arcana will tell them about Cavathos's weaknesses. I like the idea of it being a broken tablet and that you need to find them around the room, because then that could get people to touch the corrosive webbing. I think that's a great idea. All right, so I no longer want there to be a book on the podium, but instead there should be 3 pieces of a tablet scattered around the room. I want the... all right. Each piece of the tablet contains different information. These pieces of information should be hidden behind a different type of role. History. One tablet will be history. One tablet will be religion, and one tablet will be arcana. Will be arcana, religion, history. Cool. Love it. That was a great idea. Is the spider webs? That was smart. You guys are good. All right, so it's rewriting this. I'm curious what it's going to put. One of the fun things about doing this is, like, I get to kind of experience the dungeon that I'm creating. Whereas normally I would just have the idea and I'd be like, oh, that's cool. Like, in this case, I get to be excited about what it's going to come up with. And then obviously change it if I like to. All right, so the necro spiders, blah, blah, blah. 3 pieces of a broken tablet scattered around the room, each containing a crucial information. Piece number 1 requires a successful DC 15 history check to find behind a loose stone near the altar. Provides minor information about Cavathos. I mean, I wouldn't make the history check be required to find it. I would make it, you found it, and I would make whoever has it has to make the roll. And then, you know, it's D&D. Like, it's magic. If they don't decipher it properly, then the text like disappears from the stone or something like that. We could even make it that, because otherwise all of your people are going to be like, oh, I'm good at history, I can roll history. All right, so Cavathos, known as the Echoing Horror, was once a deity worshipped by an ancient, long-forgotten cult. His presence was said to bring madness and despair to all who beheld him. Okay, that certainly gives the players a little bit. Piece 2 requires a religion check of 15 to find hidden in the hollow base of one of the eldritch statues. Provides information about where Cavathos comes from. Text, hailing from the dark plane of Nagarth, Cavathos is an avatar of a greater eldritch entity. His origins are shrouded in mystery, but it is believed he was summoned by powerful rituals conducted by the cult. Okay, that doesn't give you a ton, but it's still something. It's flavor. Requires a successful arcana check. Cavathos's form is susceptible to radiant energy and psychic attacks. His influence can be diminished by holy symbols and rituals of cleansing. I think that is awesome. 1 piece on a pressure plate sealing the last room or the first entrance. Well, that's a good idea. I blame you for No Doubt song. Ooh, oh yeah, walking in the spider webs. Like it. All right. This is something I like to do occasionally. I like to tell ChatGPT that its ideas are great. Because that gives it an idea that that's the kind of stuff I like, and it usually remembers it. Okay, so finding piece number 2 will trigger... Well, no. I want the tablets to be hidden behind investigation checks. So if I were playing this, basically, as the people kind of spread out across the room, I would have the 3 locations in mind of where I want them to be, and I would have basically whoever's closest to it probably roll an investigation check, assuming that they were asking about what's in the room. And then they would be the one to find it, and they would be the one to have to roll that particular check. So I want the tablets to be hidden behind investigation checks would cause the spiders to descend. No. All right. Any failed check to decipher the tablet. Oh, did I spell it right the first time? I guess no, that's deceiver. Decipher. PH. Tablet will lock the room and release the spiders. Boom. Dangling piece in the air with pressure plates under. You know, maybe there should be one piece that's just on the podium and it's very clearly part of something larger. That way they think to look around. I think that's a good idea. So which piece is the most useless? Probably the second piece. Although, actually, the first piece... All right, so let's do this. The first piece will be on the altar. Yeah, I like that. So the first piece is on the altar. Now they know to look for stuff. I think that's perfect. And then that will be room number 2. I'm pretty sure... Yeah, I generated a thing for... All right, so could you generate an image of the necro spiders? Of the necro spider. Let's see what this looks like. Oh, it's going to be good. I'm unable to generate the image of a necro spider due to content policy restrictions. Huh. Okay. What is the prompt you were going to use to generate the image of the necro spider? Oh, Dennis, I'm happy that you're hanging out with us. Fifth Element vibes. Yeah. Okay, so let's... I mean, the fact that this couldn't generate something, I don't know why. That's interesting. But we're going to go over to Midjourney. This is why it's good to have multiple tools. And we are going to scroll this up. And we're going to imagine a terrifying undead spider with large bony legs that scrape across the ground. Its carapace is broken, cracked, and falling off, revealing decaying undead flesh underneath. The spider's multiple eyes glow with an eerie, unnatural light. It has a sinister and decayed appearance with webs hanging like tattered drapery. The overall atmosphere is one of dread and decay. Yes. Hey, there's our berry boy. Aw. Hey, David, thank you so much. Oh, that's awesome. What's tell me about what you were going to be doing, David. I appreciate that. Apparently I can like these. That's cool. Huh. Ooh, there's our spider. Not very bony. Look at that one on the bottom right. Hold on. Look at this guy. Raw, I'm a spider. Oh, that one looks great. All right, hold on. Let me drag this down for you. Hold on. Miss Midjourney. Look at that guy. Yes. He doesn't look very poisonous, but he certainly looks horrifying. So I am going to keep him, but I'm also going to change it a little bit. Let's do a variant. So this is a thing that you can do in Midjourney. You can do a variant. Background of a jungle temple. My own tabletop RPG working on subclasses. Very cool. Well, good for you. Need more creativity. So sometimes the variants work, usually they don't. So what I'm also going to do, just while this is running, is I'm going to reimagine this, and just let that go. So reimagine is supposed to be for like minor tweaks. Like maybe I could say its carapace is purple. It would probably do okay with that. Changing something entirely about the image usually doesn't do as well. All right, so while this is generating, it's a little slow today. Okay, so we've got a couple different things. The first one is taking forever. Last one, Shellub. Yeah, yep. Totally agree. Okay, that one, those things are horrific. All right, this one at least looks like it's in a temple. Kind of the first one, I think. Yeah. It's, again, yeah, that's perfect. All right, cool. We're going to use the first one. It's perfectly horrific. We're going to upscale that first one. Oh, yeah, I probably should have had you guys pick, but I think that first one is awesome. Yeah, look at that guy. Oh, he's so scary. Doesn't really give the impression that his webs are corrosive, but I'm okay with it. So again, we're going to hop over to... I find it's good to do this while you're doing it. Like, it's good to make your tokens while you're creating it. Now, I could make the token small so you can see the spider, and I think that's probably an okay idea. Because, again, I'll be showing off the creature while I'm doing this. So it won't be... They won't be like, oh, I can't really tell what that is. They'll have seen it in large scale. All right, ChatGPT. Thin the ring and make it red. Oh, did I? Whoops. I might have moved a little too quick. Oh, it is. I can thin the ring. I don't really love doing that. Personally. Just I find that doesn't look as good. I really like the gradient. And I guess... No, that one's just white. I guess I don't see... Maybe this one's... Yeah, this one's... Okay, I could use this one. And then I'll do a border tint of red. I mean, that's okay. I kind of like using the other one. At least if nothing else for consistency's sake. So I'll probably use this one. Okay. Anyway, I had actually already downloaded it. So we're good for that. Let's keep going. And then I think I'll stop after this next one and we'll go into Incarnate and start making stuff. Because I think it would be kind of fun to do that. Okay, so we now have room number 2. So they've now searched around. They potentially know something about the place that they're in. Use owlbear a lot. Cool. I love owlbear. It was the first boss monster that I threw at my characters, and we did a really good job of making them afraid of it. Okay, so remind me of the third room. This way I don't have to scroll up again. And it will create it with all the dimensions and all that stuff. So very cool. A narrow hallway with pressure plates on the floor. Some plates trigger darts, others cause the floor to collapse into a pit. The walls are adorned with faded murals depicting trials. All right, so let me double check this real quick, because I know that we were going to do something with a gelatinous cube in this room, I believe. Rename Library of Ancients. Where was the... Oh, that was in the second floor. Room 3 cube. All right, let's make room 3 the cube room. Okay. So let's just kind of read through this real quick. So we've got all of our smells and sounds and all that stuff. All right, the entrance is on the north side, leading from room 2. Doorway on the south side. None directly, but the traps serve as the primary challenge. Okay, and here's the traps. We have dart trap, pit trap, collapsing floor. Sections of the floor that drop away, potentially leading to lower levels or into other traps. The treasure is a chest at the end of the hallway. Okay, I don't want the treasure. Remove the treasure from this room. That's going to be command number 1. All right, we have a DC around dart traps. A 10-foot deep pit that deals 1d6 bludgeoning. All right, remove the pit trap. I don't really want that. I want it to just be poison darts and flames. I want flames. Add a flame trap on other pressure plates. This room's going to be fairly simple, but that's okay. Let's see. I also want to do... All right. In the event that the floor crumbles, first off, tell me what causes that to happen. If the floor crumbles, I want a 9-foot... how big are... Let's see. How big are gelatinous cubes? Gelatinous cube. All right. So these things are tall. All right. 5. Nope. I forget how big this thing is. Takes up. Well, I guess it's large, so it would be pretty big. Okay, cool. So we'll do this. We'll go back to Midjourney, or ChatGPT, sorry. If the floor crumbles, I want the room that is below them to house a gelatinous cube. Again, wrong. I'm terrible at spelling, apparently. A gelatinous cube. The player should fall about 3 feet and suddenly stop as they're trapped within the cube. The other players could try to pull them out. Give me a strength check, DC. Otherwise, they start getting damage. Describe how the stones would disintegrate within, again, fail. Disintegrate within the gelatinous cube. Okay, what else? Describe how they're... Actually, I think just gelatinous cubes usually eat bones, too, so, like, they'd really be nothing. Well, let's just give it that, and let's see what happens. You're right, it could be any size I need. Make a double pit. Series of stepping stones all over the floor. Only one path sequence is correct. Anything else releases a trap. That's perfect. Now, what could we do to give them a hint, though? Because it's kind of unfair to just be like, oh, here's random ways to get hurt. With no hope of doing well. Maybe... Maybe a proper investigation check will just find... I guess if you have a rogue, you could look for traps and whatever. Yeah, they need to be smart enough to look for traps. I think it'd be fine. Wet floors could be fine. All right, so actually, let's think about it this way. All right, so there's the gelatinous cube underneath the floor. This gelatinous cube is not tall enough to escape, but maybe it's tall enough to reach up through the floor and kind of get some of the debris that's on top of some of the stones. Using like a pseudopod or something like that. I forget if they have it, but we'll pretend it does. So some of the plates seem cleaner around where the floor will fall. And you'd want to avoid them rather than... Your players will be like, oh, those are cleaner, I should probably step on them. But in fact, stepping on them is the wrong choice. I think that's good. Snail trail. Love it. Okay, so let's see what it wrote up here. A narrow hallway, pressure plates, blah blah blah. Smell. Okay. Dart traps, collapsing floor. All right. When the floor crumbles, the player falls about 3 feet into a room below, housing a gelatinous cube. All right. That's not quite what I was going for, but we know what we're looking for, so we can redefine that. Trap description: the player who falls lands within the gelatinous cube, which is almost invisible and fills the lower room. Other players can attempt a strength check to pull them out. If an escape fails, the trap player starts taking damage. The trap player takes some damage, blah, blah, blah. As the stone crumbles into the gelatinous cube, they dissolve slowly with the acidic nature of the cube eating away at the rock, creating a bubbling, fizzing sound as the stone breaks down. Perfect! All right. I want the hint. All right. Let's give the players a hint about where to step in this room. The pressure plates for the fire and dart traps need to be discovered by investigation. However, the area of floor that will crumble is only indicated by the fact that the floor is much cleaner than the surrounding area, hinting at the gelatinous cube reaching up through the floor and cleaning the floor. Okay. Yeah, escalate. Okay, actually, let's see what it did for the DC of the different types of traps. So the dart trap is a 12. The flame traps... They do damage to anyone within a 5-foot radius. So if they're too close, they're going to be hurting their friends, which could be fun. Okay. Huh. Did it... Oh, there it is. Sections of the floor that drop away potential. All right. All right, cool. So last little bit would be... What... How do they trigger the flame traps? It didn't really say anything about a pressure plate. Okay, so it's pressure plates. All right. I would like you to describe the... So it's 20 feet wide, 50 feet long. To describe the location of the pressure plates and the crumbling floor using an image. Let's do that. Let's really challenge it. I wonder if this will work. I've definitely generated images of locations before, but I don't think I've been like, show me where. Cool. Let's see. Pressure plates. Yeah, this is not helpful. But it does kind of give you an idea of what it looks like. Interesting. So there's circles going down the left, circles going down the right, and then pressure plates in the center. That's terrible. All right. Try generating an image from overhead as if a Dungeons and Dragons style map. I've had some luck with this before. Interesting. That's totally not how I pictured it at all. So I don't think that's good at all. All right, so we won't go with that. Okay. I'll just have to make it up, and that's totally fine. Okay, let's go to room number 4. Could you describe room number 4? Let's see what this one was. As far as notes that I have, this one, this might be the hall, Library of Ancients? No, this, oh, the overgrown sanctuary. This is where you end up going down to the 2nd level. Okay, so we've got room filled with dense plant life, blah, 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 smells and sounds. Entrance, narrow passage on the north wall leading from room 3. A vine-covered archway to the south wall leading deeper into the temple. So I'm going to tell it that I want the exit to be a collapsed stairwell on the side. There's 3 shambling mounds in here. That blend in their massive forms indistinguishable from tangled plant life. Okay. I like shambling mounds. I actually really like shambling mounds. I think 3 of them is a lot because they're very chunky. They have like 100 and something hit points apiece. I just think it's going to be a very long combat, so I don't really want that. Okay. I would like to change the exit to be a collapsed stairwell to the, let's see, west side of the room. There should be some vines hanging into the stairwell that the players could climb down. Also, there should be an exit to the south, which would be... Alright, let's not make that a stairwell. I would like to change the exit to be... No, alright. I would like to add a second exit, which is a collapsed bit of flooring on the west side of the room. There are vines hanging down into the down to the lower level. These vines are a trap. They will attack the players and wrap them up. or something like that. Constrict them. Cool. Yeah, I like that a lot more. I was originally going to have it so they just have to climb down it, but that's like fine, but kind of boring. So we're going to have a stairwell to the south. We're going to have a hole to the west. The vines are going to be there. They're obviously going to be like, oh, I want to be cool and climb down the vine. And then suddenly they're being attacked. All right. I want something completely different for the enemy in this room. Let's check the chat real quick to see if anybody has a cool idea. Can also add in some empty spider carcasses. Link floor images to the tablet and the name of the Eldritch Beast's name. Oh, okay. Interesting. Swinging on the webs. What else could we make what could we do to make this room cooler? So this room was called the Overgrown Sanctuary. What kind of sanctuary? Like, what is the purpose of this room? If it's not overgrown, what is it? Is it, so maybe it'd be like where they eat, because you've now gone through the little trial chamber. You're going to have like a little party kind of thing with people, because now you're part of the cult. You have to go through the trial in order to become part of this cult, I guess. I don't know. Sanctuary, like, the idea invokes that you're now safe. You've gone through this area, so maybe it should be safe. Maybe there should be some more lore in here. And then the vines have just made their way into the temple, so it's still a dangerous room. It's no longer a sanctuary. Ornate fountain broken and covered in goop. That's a fun idea. I want something, kitchen and meditation rooms. Okay, so what if we have a fountain and it's the kitchen area? So there's fresh water in there. They would be eating in there as well. It's a room that's generally supposed to be safe, and it maybe even tell the people that this room is called the sanctuary. And the fact that it's overgrown is just part of the nature to kind of taking it back. I want something completely different for the enemy in this room. All right, these vines are a trap. They will attack. I don't want shambling mounds in this room. I want a fountain that has... This could even be a room for them to take a short rest. I want a fountain that has fresh water that they could drink. I want this to be a room of relative safety. I want a fountain that has fresh water that they could drink. A few books laying around. We will figure out what they are shortly. Give me rules around these vines. Okay, cool. So we're going to tell it that we want the room to be mostly safe. The vines are there. They're a problem if you touch them. If you don't touch them, you could just walk right through the room and go down the stairs to the next level. In this room, there's also going to be fresh water for you to drink, and there's going to be some books. Cool. I think that's great. I think it makes sense. It's room number 4. They've already had like a couple of interactions. They've potentially gotten hurt. I don't want them to fight 3 shambling mounds. I think they'll die. All right, dense plant life and strange glowing fungi. The walls are covered with thick vines and the air is humid and heavy. The plants here have grown unchecked for centuries, creating a tangled but relatively safe environment. A fountain with fresh drinkable water sits in the center of the room, providing a rare oasis of tranquility. Okay, cool. Narrow passage on the north wall leading from room 3 was the entrance. The exits are a vine-covered archway on the south wall leading deeper into the temple, or a collapsed section of flooring on the west side of the room with vines hanging down to the lower level. The vines hanging down the collapsed section of the floor on the west side are not ordinary vines. They will attack and attempt to constrict any players trying to use them to descend. It has a +5 to hit. It does 10 damage, 10 bludgeoning damage, and the target's grappled. Until the grapple ends, the target's restrained. If a player is grappled for more than a minute, they must succeed on a DC 14 con saving throw or take an additional 5 poison damage. I mean, that's... If they're trapped for over a minute, they had over 100 hit points or something like that. That's a lot. The fountain in the center of the room is a stone fountain filled with fresh, clean drinking water. Drinking from the fountain can restore 1d4 hit points once per day. That's cool. Scattered around the fountain are several old weathered books. They seem to have been left undisturbed for a long time. Cool. A ring with an eldritch motif found entwined in the roots near the center of the room. I like that. Okay. Let's see. Kitchen and meditation rooms, maybe cryptic drawings inside, maybe Naga skeletons inside some. Could find a scroll hidden in the fountain. I like that. All right, let's make the fountain a treasure, hold a treasure of sorts. Rather than the ring of protection, I would like a scroll of... What could we give them a scroll of? Scrolls are tough in D&D 5e to me. By the rules as written, I think you can't cast a spell unless your character can actually cast that spell. Even if it's like, you know, it could be higher level, but like you can't cast a druid spell as a wizard unless it crosses both you know, spells, whatever, spell list, that's the word I'm looking for. So maybe we can give them something like an unseen servant. Just somebody to like go do something for them. That could be kind of fun. But what do you guys think? What kind of scroll should we give them? Scroll of acid spray. Something tells me that most things in here are going to be at least resistant to acid, because it's going to be a lot of plants and stone. Let's take a quick look at some scrolls. All right. Scroll of... Yeah, I know. I thought Fireball too. All right. I think we'll do Scroll of Fireball. All right. Let's do this. Who can cast Scroll of Fireball? Ooh, Scroll of Haste is a good one. The scroll can be used by anyone, but requires a DC 13 int check to accurately use. All right. Only sorcerers and wizards can cast the fireball spell, which can also be cast from a scroll. All right, so let's do this. Scroll of Haste. Maybe there's just no like Scroll of Haste. Let's see. This is in Sorcerer, Wizard, Artificer, Blood Domain, Circle of the Land, Grassland, Oath of Vengeance. All right, a lot of people can do Haste. So even though I totally want to go with you guys and do the Scroll of... Oh, sorry. I should have done this. Even though I want to do Fireball, I think Haste is a better choice because more people can do this. Let's make the fountain hold a treasure of sorts. Rather than the Ring of Protection, I would like a Scroll of Haste to be found within the... fountain. However, I need a cool riddle that will unlock it. If it doesn't come up with something good, I might ask it to be more thematic. How about a locked scry scroll of some event that happened? It's true, we haven't really touched on too much lore of this place. And something I could do is I could say, give me like a lot more detail about why this temple exists and the history of it and all that stuff. We could almost build it like a city of who was here, what NPCs existed, what was their cause, all this stuff. And we could totally do that. And frankly, I might even do that. But all right, I run yet I have no feet. I roar yet I have no mouth. I can calm your spirit or drown your despair. What am I? Does it not give me the answer? I mean, I would guess it's probably a river, but... Or water. It didn't give me the answer. What's the answer to the riddle? It is water. Okay, cool. Could show sacrifice. How about a locked scry scroll? So they don't have that dagger yet. I do want to make sacrifice part of this, but I want them to have that ceremonial dagger first. All right, cool. Let's use the books to fill in a little bit more lore. I would like you to consider the history behind this location. The lore of who was here and why they were trying to summon Cavathos. Because taking all of this into account, I want the 2 books in this room to be handwritten journals by by people who existed within this temple. Write a couple of paragraphs to give the players information about this location. Use one of the books to write a couple of paragraphs to give the players more information about this location. Use the other book to give some hints as to how the, what is it called? The Nexus room? The Dark Nexus room works. Cool. Scroll of False Prophecy. Is that a thing? I kind of want to look that up. All right, hold on. False Prophecy. Face Prophecy. I mean, I get what you're saying, but... The adventures are... Alright, yeah. That's funny, though. I actually really... The False Prophecy. You should definitely help in summoning this eldritch creature. Alright, so book number 1. These are cool. I don't want to necessarily read all of these out loud. Alright, sorry, I'm just checking out the chat. Let's see. Oh, geez, I'm sorry, you guys can't see these. Alright, the Eldritch Echo, as we have come to call it, is more than a temple, it is a gateway. Our order has dedicated itself to summoning the avatar of Cavathos, the Echoing Horror. Cavathos is not just a god of darkness, but a harbinger of knowledge that transcends mortal understanding. We believe that by bringing him into our world, we can unlock secrets of the universe that have been hidden since the dawn of time. The rituals are complex, requiring the alignment of celestial bodies and the sacrifices of those deemed worthy. Our acolytes work tirelessly in ensuring that the preparations are flawless. The nexus deep within the temple holds the key to his arrival, a place where the veil between worlds is thinnest. Many have tried and failed to summon Cavathos, but our determination is unwavering. The signs are clear, the stars themselves guide our path, yet there is fear among some of the acolytes. Whispers of madness and despair fill the air, as if the temple itself were alive and aware of our intentions, but we are undeterred. Knowledge is worth any price, even our sanity. That's cool. And then it talks about the Dark Nexus. The heart of our ritual, the focal point where Cavathos can be summoned. It is a place of shadows and whispers where light dares not enter. To control the Nexus, one must understand its rules. The darkness is not just an absence of light, but a living entity, reacting to the presence of intruders. The glowing mushrooms provide a faint light, but beware for those that mark the path of safety amidst the darkness. Disturb them and the shadows will consume you. Okay, so here's the problem. It's still thinking... The original description that it gave me for the Nexus before we kind of ideated on it is what's still written. So I'm actually going to probably have it... I'm going to write down this name. Acolyte's Guide to the Dark Nexus. I'm going to kind of mark that down, and we're going to have it rewrite that book after we've defined that room. I think this room is perfect. This room is great. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We have our first floor. We are going to go over to Incarnate, and we're going to kind of map this out a little bit. Now, this is not going to be big enough. At least, well, you know what? For the first floor, it probably can. So the first things first, we're going to go in here. We're going to go Regional HD. I usually use this one because it has kind of the right size that I'm looking for. So we're gonna just kind of make everything green to start off with because we're in the jungle. So I'm gonna kind of bounce back and forward a little bit. All right, give me the dimensions and short description of the first 4 rooms. All right, 30 feet wide, 60 feet long. So that's what we're going to kind of start with. going to go back to incarnate. Now, I'm going to end up putting trees and stuff, so I'm not worried about that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab wall in fantasy regional. No, battle map is what I want. So we're going to grab this kind of like a stone wall. And we're going to make it a lot smaller. Nah, I don't like that. We're going to grab a different wall. We don't want desert. We want like jungle. Do they have jungle? Graveyard, hell, jungle. Perfect. Awesome. Okay. So we have temple walls. Kind of like this one. All right. We're going to zoom in way far here. So we're going to build a little room. We can actually turn on the grid lines, which makes it a lot easier to measure things out. So this first room is going to be 30 feet wide, 60 feet long, with a ceiling height of 20 feet. So 30 wide. So we've got... That's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Okay, so it's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So it's going to be 30 feet wide by 60 feet long. So that's 3, which is 15. And then we have 30, 45, 60, roughly. Now, if I were doing this not on a stream, I would probably put a lot more effort into some of these. I'm going to have the players kind of start off in here. I'm not going to make like a cool entrance other than I'm going to try to represent it using some light. And then we know that the exit is going to be at the south. So we're going to rotate this. Okay. So our exit's going to be pretty much dead south. Although I don't really like that. I want it to be slightly off center. So we'll do that. And we'll delete this. And we'll grab this and go boom. Okay. Now in here, I am very much going to do kind of a quick job on this. That way we don't spend forever in incarnate. Unless you guys want me to. It's totally up to you. I enjoy doing this stuff no matter what part it is. It's kind of fun to just create. Alright, so I'm going to make this be the opening. Now the floor, the entrance to the temple is a grand hall with... Sorry, my contacts are drying out. The entrance to the temple is a grand hall with high ceilings overrun by plant life. Sunlight filters through cracks in the stone, illuminating intricate carvings on the walls depicting abstract and unsettling shapes. The air is thick with the smell of damp earth and decay, and a constant rustling sound like whispering wind can be heard. Okay, so we need something for the floor. And we need the battle maps. We are going to grab mosaic filler stones. What are you? Ooh, that looks cool, but I need something different first for the actual, let's do like cobblestone. Okay, so we're going to have this be our floor to start off with. It looks pretty good and nice and worn out, but also I want it to have some vines. So vine, we're going to throw some vines in here. Because this room specifically is like super overgrown. Now those were cool, but the brush was too large. All right, so we're just going to add some of these. Now, one of the things it mentioned was the light coming through this. Oh, what am I looking for? I don't want that. I want a stamp. I want light. I want like a ray of light, which is going to be minor. It's going to be coming through. But we also don't want it to be super bright, and we don't want it to be very consistent, because it's like it should be different sizes. But the color is something I want to change. I want it to be brighter, I guess. Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, it should be faint, but it should be bright where it actually is. Now, I would like a little bit of water too. Let's see, what are you? Water reflections alpha. So there's a little bit of water coming through here. Let's turn the scale down a bit. let's make the color a little bit less bright. Something to think about too is you don't always have to see everything about what you're doing. Like if you look at this right now, you could see a lot of the water here, but you can't see a ton here or here, but it's there. And it's like the subtle little details that stick out. But what I do actually really want is to have some real water actually kind of flowing. Not flowing. I want it to be like pooling. So this corner is going to have a bit of water in it. There we go. And I'm actually going to get rid of that. I'm going to change the color to be more of a green. This is like a putrid color. That's kind of perfect. Yeah, just some gross water seeping in through the corner. And then we might even have like a little bit just kind of drifting through here. Cool. All right, so there's some water going on there. All right, so now what else do we have in this room? So we have some not statues. We have like some artwork on the walls. So we want, let's see, I forget what it is. There's something that I'm thinking of. It's like a maybe statue. There should be some wall things that you can put on the wall. Here's some. Don't really love. I guess these are temples. You know what? This dude's like reading a book. We're gonna have. Nah, that's way too big, as well. All right. So, as you can see, this is like not very detailed, and also we don't want it to be over the top of the wall because that doesn't make any sense. But we can have this one little statue here, one little statue here, one little statue here, and then another one over here. What I actually will do, because I think it'd be kind of fun, is make this a crumbly statue. So instead of you, I'm going to make you a crumbly statue. Because it's old. Cool. That didn't really... Okay. Excellent. Okay, so we've got this little room. There's not a whole lot going on here. This is just the entrance. And so we need some vines. And we have some grasping vines kind of coming from the wall. We have a few more tendril-y guys just kind of sticking out. Maybe one coming from the corner here. That's a lot of vines, but it's the jungle. All right, let me double check the entrance hall. So there's going to be not two vine blights. We're going to be the broadleaf guys. The floor is made of worn stone slabs partially covered with moss and creeping vines. Perfect. Okay. Melee attack. I'm just double checking that we got everything. There's going to be some urns in this room because there needs to be a healing potion in one of the urns. So there's probably a better way to have prompted it to tell me more about this room, but let's go and find an urn. All right, so we want... Huh. Interesting. There's a furnace. What is this? Maybe we put this here. Nah, I want an actual urn. Let's go with a few of these. These are going to be kind of in here because I want them to have to find them. Like, they're not going to miss it, but they have to kind of go through those vines that are crowding it. Yeah, there we go. They won't be super obvious, but they might be like, oh, what are those things over there? Nice. They're also kind of big. I probably shouldn't make them so big. All right. So there's our first room. And that didn't take very long, which is wonderful because I don't like when things take long. All right, let's see. What do we got? The mapping website. Oh, sorry. I knew that something was going on because all of a sudden you guys got very, very quiet. All All right, so let's see. What's the name of that site, and is it pay per? All right, so this is Incarnate, Inkarnate. I think it's like a $50 one-time fee, or maybe it's yearly. It's not very expensive, and I use it all the time. It's been very, very good for me. In an early issue of Dragon Magazine, no longer in production, they had a Kobold Cult of the White Naga. Yeah, I could see that. That's no longer in production, huh? I'm not entirely surprised, but a little sad to hear that. The mapping website, Incarnate. Yep. Yeah, I always have problems finding what I need. For dungeon crafting, I prefer using Dungeon Crawl or Dungeon Scrawl. Okay. Square grids are very important for my needs. Can you use the same water brush for vines if it's green? Probably. Yeah. Legend of Zelda pot smashing. Yes, I know. It's hard to think of any pots without thinking of Legend of Zelda. Now, just because this is driving me crazy, I'm going to add some jungle trees. Yeah, let's grab some jungle trees. Now, this is not super important, but it's just bothering me to have it all green over here. I'm not going to fill in everything because we still have to make our temple. But now if I zoom in here, it looks a little bit better. Let's grab tree. Now I'm going to grab all of these and I'm going to bring them up kind of as high as I can because I want them to go over the wall if they exist. There was something else I wanted to do. So if I grab this and I go tree, nope, not tree, forest? Yeah, forest floor. So there's jungle. Oh, that looks cool. Let's see what this looks like if I... That just looks like grassland. That doesn't look like a jungle. Dark tall grass alpha, vines alpha. All right, let's see what this looks like. Yeah, I don't like that. Also, it's like way too transparent and way too big. Just kind of getting a feel for this because it should look cool when you look at it from outside. I mean, that if I did my due diligence and I put the trees everywhere, it might look all right, but I'm not going to spend too much time on this either. I think this one right here might be a better choice. It at least makes it dark. All right, let's make the texture scale smaller. Let's make this... I'll just put this all around, and then we can make it look better in the future if we want to. It's going to be full of rooms anyway. Paid Incarnate is $5 per year and $25 per year. Oh, per month. Okay, yeah, that's what it is. $25. I do $25 for the yearly. Totally worth it. Some of the better money I've spent doing this. All right, so we have room number 1, and we're going to have our vine blights. All right, room number 2. Scroll down. Room number 2 is worship chamber. This large chamber was once the heart of worship. An altar stands at the far end, covered in dust and cobwebs. Okay, so we know that the entrance is from the north. This is going to be 40 feet wide, 60 feet long. All right, so let's do that. So again, we're going to grab our walls. 40 feet wide, so 10, 20, 30, 40. No, it's got to be bigger than that. 40 feet wide. Oh, and this one was 30. 10, 20, 30, because that's the inside. 10, 20, 30, 40. Okay. So now if I go like that and like that, so it's going to be a little bit wider. 60 feet long again. So it's really just kind of opening up. It's a very long building. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. Okay. Okay. Not terrible. Okay. And now we want to... I believe this one also had an exit to the south. But I'm going to make it like way over here, just for fun. We're going to grab the smaller version of this. All right, so there's the exit. It's way over here. We want to grab a corner. rotate that. Okay. Let's grab one more corner. Let's grab this one instead. Cool. And then we need to make the floor look... Alright, so there's going to be some cracks in the ceiling, which should be easy enough to do. Alright, the floor is not considerably different. It's maybe a little cleaner in here. And we need to have an altar. Altar. Oh, I mean... Altar. Altar. Okay. So the temple has... It's definitely going to have a broken... a broken stone altar. I'm actually going to kitty corner it, because that feels more interesting. I'm also going to make it a lot smaller, because it doesn't need to be 20 feet long. We're going to make the floor a little viney. Coming from the walls. Cool. And some vines over here. Excellent. Oh, you guys have... I'm sorry. Thank you. Do they have a good AI generator for maps? Not really. Are you asking if Incarnate uses AI? No, I don't believe there's any AI for Incarnate, which is actually okay with me. I think Incarnate should stay a bit more like real. This large chamber was once the heart of worship. Altar stands at the far end, covered in dust and cobwebs. Okay, so we need some cobwebs in here. Statues of eldritch beings loom from each corner, their eyes seemingly following visitors. The room is dimly lit by shafts of sunlight piercing through cracks. Okay, so we need some sunlight, which will be kind of just over the top. Let's grab this. I don't like the color. We want to make it brighter. Gonna just have a few little light pieces. You could actually even combine a couple of these so that it's obvious that these are lights that are coming from somewhere. Yeah, I don't like that. But you could combine these to make it come from the wall. There we go. And then there's a few other pieces that are lit. Now we need some cobwebs. Incarnate does have some cool cobwebs. And we want to make these caustic. We want to make them not look just white. So let's see what we can do with this. All right. Let's see. We want to make the hue is not really changing. Let's make it brighter. Let's make this bigger so I can really see what's happening here. All right, brightness. So that's dark. Let's make it darkish. Huh. Oh, that's funny. Sorry, I got an alert that was concerning, but then I realized it's totally fine. All right, let's get some contrast. No, it's really not giving me any options to make this thing look more green. So that's okay. We'll just have a big old cobweb right here. That should hint at something. And then I had this one player, Molly, who she played a paladin named Daffy. And Daffy did not like spiders. And so, of course, spiders were in the game. Because when one of your players is actually legitimately afraid of something, as long as they're okay with it, it's kind of fun to torture them. Okay, so we've got some spider webs. That's not terrible. I don't want to necessarily put too many of them in here because I don't want it. I want it to be atmosphere. I don't want it to be indicative of the problem. Like the way Neverwinter had. Are you asking if Neverwinter, like Neverwinter Nights? Or just the location? Okay, so we've got our altar here. We need to have some more stuff. Always important to have stuff. Get some pots, put those underneath the cobwebs, just so people are tempted to go look. Okay, so then we have... I think my dog is having a bad dream. I just heard him growling in his sleep. Let's see. Carries the dusty air of descent and blah, blah, blah. Okay. Oh, that's right. We need some statues in here. So, it said eldritch statues. Now, I don't think we're going to find much in the way of eldritch statues here. But, what are you? Knights on horseback. Nope. Maybe we do... Is anything... This cornerstone, I don't really know what that's supposed to be. This could be okay. Alright, we put one there, even though it's totally obscured by the... cobwebs. And then we'll put another one here. Okay. So now there's very clearly something going on, and these people are definitely going to go over and check these out, and they're going to touch the cobweb, and it's going to be a problem. So I like problems. Okay. Let's go to Hall of Trials. So this one's going to be kind of that trap room. So let's go to Hall of Trials. Let me hop back over to GPT. That's the... way up here. I want to find the most recent bit that we were talking about, the Hall of Trials. Okay, here it is. 20 feet wide, 50 feet long. Let's start there. 20 feet wide. Boom. So that's 5, 10, 15, 20. That's huge. 5, 10, 15, 20. So we're going to have like that. Let's make that just a bit smaller so it fits properly. Cool. All right, so we need to make it 50 feet long. So we have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. And then we need single. Boom. And then that's a little off. When I make these for myself, I like obsess about the minor details of things being lined up and stuff. It's honestly, it's a little sad. I spend a little bit too much time obsessing about details, but I actually think I'm probably in good company. Something tells me that you guys are more like me than we all care to admit. All right. Cool. I haven't even saved this yet. What is this place called? The Temple of the Forgotten Serpent? No, I don't like that. Temple of the Eldritch Echo. That's right. That would have been bad if I had lost all of this. All right, so now we've got to grab our cobblestone again. And just get this. I might actually consider changing the cobblestone for now, but we'll see. Alright, so we've got our... Yeah, I think we should keep a cobblestone. But we're going to have pressure plates. And then I believe that the exit ends up being towards the bottom as well. We'll make the exit the middle. We'll actually change the size of the wall because it doesn't really matter. Okay, whoops. There's a certain pleasure that you get from being pretty good with a piece of software and like not having to figure out buttons and stuff. It's just nice. Things go a lot faster. I'm gonna grab the singles because they're gonna be a lot easier to work with. And it was not working out having them be smaller. Okay. Then we want the corners to be on top because that makes it look better. There we go. Get that. Get this one above. Get this one below. Hit control down and control up in order to move things up and down a layer. That kind of looks bad, but that's okay. I promise I'm not going to just sit here and obsess about stuff, but this one in particular is just driving me crazy. All right, there's going to be like a small little path to get through because that's how it worked out. Oh, Jesus. I'm so bad, man. I'm so bad I keep doing that. I'm glad that you keep reminding me in the chat. Okay, so I've got this little room. This is the trial chamber. We want to have all kinds of fun stuff in here. So this is going to be the entrance of the temple is a grand. Oh no, that's the temple entrance. Trial chamber. What is this called? Oh, the first one had the serpent's den, which was a nest of snakes. That was kind of cool. All right, Hall of Trials. Okay. So, the floor is made of smooth stone slabs, some of which are pressure sensitive and triggering traps. So we're actually going to change this from being cobblestone to stone. And let's see what our choices are. We could do a stone floor, which would be something more like this, but that doesn't look quite right. For added flair to the trap room, could have it dimly lit, making it harder to see the floor. Yeah, for sure. I like that. Let's make this texture scale, and then we're going to rotate it as well, so it's 90 degrees. Although, yeah, we'll make it 90 degrees. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. All right, let's see how this looks. I'm also going to probably make it a lot darker. Yeah, because it doesn't really fade very well. Now, what you can do about that is you can make your opacity here, like in kind of this first bit, more like this, so it's like transitioning. I'm going to make it a little higher opacity. So it's like a transition, and then if you do it well, which I didn't really do that very well, it doesn't look terrible. Yeah, that looks kind of bad. But you can go in here with this particular tool, and it would go like that. And then if I decide to make this a lot darker, which I will, and then I start to kind of make it more in the same color, that still looks bad. All right, let's not do that. Let's just use this, and I'm gonna just kind of have some spots. You know, we can when we're actually in the Foundry tool, we can mark off which ones are going to be a problem for them. And we can know if they step on any of these, it's going to be a problem. So things like that are very easy to do in Foundry. Okay, so this room needs to have a little bit of decoration to it. So I'm going to put some more stuff on the wall. I don't know what this is. Let's do a dragon statue. It's called a rayonet. I'm not really sure what that is. Maybe it's kind of bird it looks like. So that one's gonna make fire, and then this one's not gonna make fire, because that makes it funny when they think that they figured stuff out. We're also gonna change the color of it so it's a little bit easier to see. Let's make it brighter. Make the color bluish, I guess. I don't know. Kill that guy. Put him back on the wall. All right. Put another one here. All right, now the area that we want to be a little shinier, so here's the way we're gonna do that, I think. Let's do vines. So we're gonna have a little bit of like vines and stuff growing. No, those are too big. We're gonna have some vines kind of growing around so that it's fairly easy to... They're gonna think to themselves, oh, I should probably go down the center. But then it's going to split here, and they're not going to quite know what to do. Now, the key is going to be that over on the right here, it's going to be much cleaner. And that should be a bit of a hint that they're going to think, oh, I should go to the right, and I should go down here, and that will be exactly what they shouldn't be doing. I also think it might have said that there was some fungus in here. But whether there is or isn't, I'm going to put some in anyway. Just because it seems like a good idea. We're going to do some small mushrooms. Kind of cool to just add stuff like this anyway. If you want to be nice, you could do scorch, maybe? No, you could do black. Let's just grab a... Let's just grab some cross-hatching. I wonder if that would... Yeah. If you want to be nice, you could put some cross-hatching right here so that they'd be like, oh, why is that, like, darker there? And if you do a smaller texture, it won't stand up quite so much. It'll just look like a bit of a scorched area. And they might be like, oh, that's weird. Why is the floor darker? Maybe I shouldn't step there. But this right here is going to be where our gelatinous cube comes from. Okay. And then when we are in Incarnate, when we're in Foundry, we're going to want to make this room a little darker. I like that idea. Also, something that we've been forgetting. We need some doors. Let's grab some jungle doors. Nah. Sewer doors could work. I want like a real door though, because I want it's smart to put doors. It prevents people from being able to just kind of walk, you know, ahead of everybody else without really opening anything. We're gonna put a door there. We're gonna put a door here, and those are just gonna be easy to open later. Maybe they'll be locked. Maybe they won't be. But I would probably not make it locked per se, or in specifically. Now, we also talked about having a hidden passage, which I think we will. We're going to do a hidden passage right over here. If you were to search behind the altar, you would find this little hidden passage. Now, I believe that the exit from one of the rooms, the next room, the sanctuary, was supposed to be to the north. We're kind of running out of room at the bottom of our map here. Now, you can make maps different size, but I'm actually going to make it so that it just kind of veers off to the left, to the west. And then we're going to make this whole area kind of a bigger room. So how big is... The overgrown sanctuary is 30 feet wide, 40 feet long, which is not very big. And I don't really think that gives us enough room for fun. Fun being like killing our players. So I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger, maybe. Yeah, that's right. It was supposed to have eldritch statues in that room, but there's very few options, so I'm gonna just kind of wing it a little bit. And this hidden room here, if you're in it, you'll just have to describe to your players how they pass through the wall. But if they're not in it, then, like, if they didn't see it, then this at least will make it look like it's been blocked off. Okay, so this room is actually going to have a little bit of a better floor. It's not going to be the normal cobblestone. It's going to be a little bit nicer. Let's make it like a slightly lighter colored cobblestone. It's a little cleaner in here. Now you could use this tool like a sucker, who, you know, is not using their time well. Or you could have used the square tool. Now this room needs to have a fountain in the middle. Let's see, what are we doing for a fountain? It needs to run. It needs to look nice. I think this right here might be too big. Yeah, it's got to be too big because it's supposed to be right in the middle, but then down to the left is supposed to be a hole. So we're gonna make a big hole like that. Yeah, that's perfect. And then when we add the vines, we'll make some big bushy ones. And then we'll also do some that look like you can maybe climb them. That looks terrible. There we go. That looks much better. So it looks like there's stuff growing, and then there's vines, and somebody, you know, looking at that would definitely ask a question. Hey, can I climb down that? Now, one thing that we have to remember is down to the bottom here is the way down. So we're going to, once again, go to our... I kind of like this... I'm going to grab our door. I think we'll grab something more like this. And I'll just tell them that it's a door, because I don't really know how else you'd describe it. In this room, there needs to be some chairs. But let's make them stone chairs. Which I believe the dwarves have some stone chairs, yep. But then, let's see, are there... Oh, there's jungle chairs. These are a little... I think this little, like, bone stool seems like a good one. Alright, so let's do a stool, a stool. We need a table. A jungle table. Another wicker table. That's perfect. And then these are going to be underneath it. Cool. And then on top of that table is going to be a book, or a couple books. And I will say I'm starting to wind down just a little bit here. I think once I'm done with this room, I think we'll probably call it a night. But we've got a couple of books on there that people will definitely see. Let's make sure that we've covered everything in this room. The room's filled with dense plant life and strange glowing fungi. Okay, so I'll have to add that. The walls are covered with thick vines. Fountain with fresh drinkable water. The air is filled with blah, blah, blah. The sounds of rustling leaves. Okay, so we need some more plants in here. Ooh, there's some cool stuff in here. Let's just add, like, some craziness. These things are growing all out of the walls. They're overgrowing this room a little bit. Maybe even, you know what we could do? If we add some opacity, we can actually put these plants under the water, which might make them hesitant to drink from it, but that could be fun too. I like this room. This room looks good. Needs a little bit more vines on the floor. Oops, that's not the vines on the floor. Where are you, vines on the floor? These are vines. Yeah. Perfect. I'm loving it. We need to have this here so that they can walk through. And no light through here. This room should probably have some lights. Let's do a little bit coming from here. A little bit coming from here. A little coming from there. And then, you know, you gotta be able to read. You need your light. Excellent. Cool. And this is kind of like that first floor of the temple. I'm very tempted to continue this another time. It's a very flat, unturning looking temple, but you know what? That's okay. They'll just kind of keep going. And they'll get down to the next one. We'll make sure that there's a lot more twists and turns in the next area. But I've been streaming for a couple of hours. Getting kind of tired. It's about 11 o'clock on a Friday night. But I will just kind of put this out there. I had a lot of fun doing this. I definitely could see myself doing this again and continuing on with this. I think it'd be fun to actually flesh out the rest of this. Thank you, Mark. And I want to thank everybody who not only hung in the whole time, but also for the super chats. Make sure that you guys check out the Patreon. I'll put some stuff up there about tonight's stream as well, probably tomorrow. And just in general, support the channel if you can. And yeah, thank you guys all. Have a great rest of your... Oh, tonight's not Friday. What is it, Monday? Oh, man. My whole week is off. Okay. Thank you all very much for joining me here on Dungeons & Drams. I hope you have a great rest of your night. Cheers.